Hey everyone, it is Monday night, September 27th, and we have a very nice panel assembled tonight to debate the 9 Mile Hole location. So searchers, non-searchers, boys and girls of all ages, sit back and let's hear what everybody thinks. Take it away, K-Pro.
Hi everybody, I'm K-Pro, and I went to 9 Mile recently, and that's where I think the treasure chest was. I don't necessarily believe in the solution that was presented, the leading solution, but I sure do like that area. And I put on waders for the first time because of a guy named Buck, and you're going to meet him in a second. So let's all get introduced. We're going to talk about 9 Mile. Thumbs up this video, friends, and super chat is on. I will try to keep track of any of the questions because you can see we have a rockin' panel tonight. So, Adam, who are you? Why are you here? You've been to 9 Mile too. We know you have. My friend.
Oh, everyone knows who I am by now. So I'm not going to go down that road. Okay, where am I regarding 9 Mile Hole? I think on balance, the evidence is pretty strong that the area is correct. Taking into account Condor database, like the oil tree, the photos do match. So that tells me Jack was indeed there at some point. The digging gypsy stuff, other circumstantial evidence that you showed us last week, I think you made a good case for the area. But I've got issues with crossing the Madison, and I've got issues with the spot, which we'll go into later.
Got it. Okay. So crossing and the spot. Got it. Steve, friends call you Buck. We're calling you Buck here. Who are you?
You got, I don't know, for some reason I've got a little latency, but I'm Steve, and friends call me Buck. You can call me either. I live in Sarasota, Florida, and I met up with Christy at 9 Mile Hole. We crossed the Madison. She wore waders that I borrowed off the front porch of the Parade Rest Guest Branch. I apprehended them, and we went across the river, and we had a good time, and we went to an alleged spot. It was kind of tough to get there, but we got there, didn't we?
We did, and you were very kind. You were much like Justin Posey when we went to Lacey. A little bit of a workout for me, but I made it, and it was, I think, a breeze for you because you were sleeping by the time I got up there. We have pictures to
I think Shannon's got a photo of that.
Ben, who are you, and what's your channel? Make sure to promote it, please.
I don't know who I am, and my channel does not matter. So I just went to what I thought was the 9 Mile Hole and found out it wasn't. So why not have me on the panel?
Okay. Odious Soul, who are you?
Hi, I'm Shannon, also known as the Odious Soul in this fabulous Forrest Fenn community. And I just tagged along with K-Pro, but I can definitely speak to my experiences on the journey. And yeah, so we're just going to leave it at that for now.
And
I'm sure
I
I'll open my big mouth later.
All night about her sharing her email with Jack, which may not happen, but you never know what happens. Jack,
we are so far beyond that email. There we are, so far beyond it. We have so much more confirmation beyond that email. We have
so then there's nothing wrong with sharing
it. Legally can't discuss that, so let's just keep moving on.
Let's move on. Rudy Green, who are you?
Well, as you said, I'm Rudy Green, and I visited 9 Mile Hole 3 times total now, twice this year and once in 2017, where I unfortunately was too meek to cross the river.
Okay, well, so let's start out with this. We've had a journey this last year, and there seems to be some consensus about 9 Mile Hole. So maybe let's go around. What is your biggest, what do you like about it the most? And what's your hardest hitting question of, this can't be it because blank? If there's any doubt, I can tell you I'm not 100, I'm 99 plus, but I'm not 100. But where we want to start with, this is why I like it, and this is why I have some issues, and maybe let's debate those issues. So, Adam, I think you're the most neutral of the bunch because you actually haven't been. Everybody else has been to 9 Mile Hole. What do you like the most, and what's like? Wait a minute, you've already said it. You said crossing the Madison and the spot. Please elaborate, sir.
I've got a lot to say tonight, potentially, if you'll let me.
Yes.
Let me nutshell it for now. It's too vague for me. It's not precise enough. It's all a bit wishy-washy. It lacks imagination. Fenn said, if followed correctly, the poem will lead you to the chest.
Precisely. Precisely.
He said he wasn't playing any games. The poem was straightforward. The solution for me isn't straightforward. It's too hazy. It lacks clarity. Also, I've got a big issue with the final spot, but we'll go into that maybe later. But overall, I think you might be right about the area, but the actual solve itself, it's not obvious enough.
Okay, I like that. So, Bach, what do you think? I know there's a little bit of
how do I get rid of the latency in the chat?
I don't think you can. So we're just going to roll with it, and we'll pause a little when you're talking. So go for it.
Okay, here we go. You're still talking. Okay, so I like the area. I like the 9 Mile hole. Some issues that I have is in some of my solutions, I didn't feel that you had to cross a river. I'm happy with the spot. Shannon, you're a little bit smaller area. I'm thinking between 7 Mile Bridge and 9 Mile hole.
Okay. So not the exact spot, but you're in the general area. You'll say within a couple miles of 9 Mile hole, you're good with the exact spot. You're not totally sold on it.
I'm not totally sold on it. I spent several days there searching the area, checking between 11 Mile and 7 Mile Bridge. Actually, I even searched down by the Montana border near Two Ribbons, checked that area. But I was happier with the 7 Mile Bridge area than I was the 9 Mile hole area. And I'm not quite sure you have to cross a river. You can cross a river if you want to, or you can be smart and cross the bridge and then walk over. So that's kind of where I'm at, but I'm very happy with the trip. I was happy hanging out with you guys. I think it's between that 9 Mile and 7 Mile area, and I went home happier than I got there. I liked what we found.
Okay, great. And we're going to go to Ben, but I do want to say hello to Diggin' Gypsy in the room. Thank you. I spent some time with her where we discuss a lot of things. And I said, this is a little shocking to me. Would you actually provide me those emails? And I'd like to share them on our show. And she did. So I have some emails towards the end of the show that we will be going over. Not Shannon's, Diggin' Gypsy's, but they are between her and Forrest. And they're surprising to me. So one was especially important for tonight's discussion, which I'll want the whole panel to weigh in on. Diggin' Gypsy, thank you for being here. Ben, you're up. What do you like about, you've been there, you searched there, you were in this general area. What do you like and what do you not like about where we're at right now?
Well, I'll start with a percentage. I think it's the highest percentage I've had for any spot, but I only have that at like 20%. That's as high as I'll ever really go on a certain specific location. I'm about 95% that it was inside the park. But for this specific spot, I'm at about 20%. I did believe that there would be a water crossing, and that's without Jack's words. No place for the meek. Your effort will be worth the cold. Well, I always took this as Fenn had no idea when I'd be searching. How's he going to know if I'm cold or warm unless I've entered water? Because no matter what temperature that water is, no matter what temperature it is outside, I'm going to feel cold after I get out of that water. So I always figured there'd be a water crossing. So the Madison feels great. 9 Mile in particular feels like there's a story to it. But Fenn always gave the impression that there was a race at the end of this. Maybe what he was really alluding to was the race between him and his grandfather when they would race to 9 Mile hole. So, you know, it feels like 9 Mile at least has a family connection, a story behind it, and it's special to one particular man.
Then
Is
why
it the
only
movie
20?
moment
I'm
we all
shocked at your
thought?
number. Why so low?
I think 20% is as high as any of us could possibly be on a specific spot without a chest being there to confirm it. This poem was obviously written to be solved anywhere you want it to be. And that's kind of the cleverness of it. That's the real trick of it.
Yeah.
Okay, Shannon, you're up. What do you like about it? What do you not like about it? What sticks in your craw?
All right, so unlike Adam, I think this solve is so straightforward. This is like so easy. It's one of those head slappers where you go there, you get in the spot, and you're like, I'm such a freaking idiot. Like, how did I not see this? You know, and I mean, I think local knowledge definitely helped. But like, if you would have went to this area, like if you figured out Warm Water's Hot, if you figured out Canyon Down, if you figured out that much and you ended up like in West Yellowstone, all you would have had to do is gone to a fishing store and asked them, where's the easiest place to catch fish around here? You know, like they're going to tell you that nice little honey hole right there at 9 Mile. So I think on many levels, like to me, it's just like, like I used to stare at this part of the map, you know, the last like year and a half before the treasure was found, just looking for something. And like, I didn't realize that those were creeks. So I kind of like beat myself up now. But I mean, the entire poem is about fishing. It's about the Madison River, in my opinion, you know, like, it's just like, it's so freaking easy. You know, Fenn was big on fishing. Like, how can, like, I mean, I think a lot of people didn't miss that aspect. Like, when I go back and watch my old videos and stuff, you know, I was right about so many things, but, you know, there was still so much stuff that I was missing. And I think it was that local knowledge, you know, maybe some more about Fenn, like the story about his grandfather. You had to know Fenn, like, you had to know Forrest. And if you didn't, you were doomed. But this was Forrest's special place. This was the place where he wanted to die. So it's like, it only makes sense that this would be about Forrest and not about other natural things in the area. Like Steve said, technically you don't have to cross the river. You can go down to 7 Mile, 12 miles, you know, go up that way. Although I would avoid that because of the grizzlies, the black bears you saw. You know, so but then also the farther past 9 Mile, or I guess the lower number you go to, like to 7 Mile, it becomes more siltier through there, so it's more dangerous to cross and the ground might not be as solid. So but I think, you know, when I look at this solve, like, I know how I felt when we hit the creek, where the creek splits like above the island, and that's when I've realized it was an island. And it was like the biggest aha movement. I was like, oh my God, this is an island. And like, I caper, like, I don't even think like you naturally sort of like thought about it there. It was like, because I kept being like, no, it's actually a physical island. Like remember, like we went too far and then, you know, we had to go back because we went too far.
You were there, Shannon.
I followed. Okay, so Steve led, then there was K-Pro, and I brought up the rear. So, like, anyway, so I was there.
Okay.
We're just gonna, like, I followed. I didn't lead. I didn't know where we were going. I remember looking at this log poles, thinking this is the craziest obstacle course ever. But I will say the Madison was super warm when we crossed it. The creek was super cold when we walked up it. Like. And there was no way to keep your feet dry walking up that creek. Like, you had to get your feet wet no matter what you did.
You have to get up that creek for sure.
You have to. So, but when I got up there and I realized it was an island, and I'm looking, and like what we came up had so many little bitty trees, and that clearing just, I don't know, like at first I wanted to look for like the spot where the treasure chest was. And then I just stopped and I was like, I don't care. Like, I'm going to sit on this log and I'm going to look around. I'm going to take a picture of Steve laying on the ground. And I just want to have this moment as something came over me. You know, it was kind of like a happy, but I wanted to cry at the same time. It was like, I don't know, like I got the spiritual moment that I needed for closure. So I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay. Now, Rudy, many of you probably do not know, I think Rudy provided more help through his videos. And I mean, I was walking in Rudy's path, basically. We were. And so I want to thank Rudy because that helped a ton understanding as a flatlander what I'm going to be walking into. So, Rudy, where are you at with the exact spot versus the general location?
I would say I'm 100% on the general location, pending somebody providing better evidence around there. I think the points that it has going for it is I think Madison Junction is the greatest where warm waters halt ever. And I think it has a solid home of brown once you sort of adjust your mind to that idea. Because there's a couple of different ways of applying it there. There's even some division about how we deal with the balance of the clues, what leads us to the blaze. And that's part of that's a bit of a weakness because I think we all thought that we could look backwards and just reverse engineer it. Like if somebody could just tell us where the X was, then we would know exactly how the clues played out to get there, which isn't entirely obvious here. But that also might mean that that's part of the imagination is on the part of the solver, having to feel that same experience that Forrest was talking about when he wrote the poem and relaying it to geography that doesn't necessarily have landmarks that stand out for just on a topographical map or something.
Well, I heard something, and I'd like your opinion if you really like Madison Junction. Forrest said famously, dip your toe in it. I didn't even know it become famous, but it did later. And then Jack has confirmed that it was warm water. Can you confirm somewhere on the Madison Junction area that there is literally warmer water than Buck was okay with it? He's like, this is warm enough. And I was like,
you put your toe in before Firehole, because when we went back there on Sunday and we were overlooking like on the plateau, I realized the Firehole came down a little bit farther south. So I don't know. I'm guessing the Firehole probably is warmer than the Gibbons. So that's probably why.
I gotta argue, this is not the best warm waters halt in my opinion. I think we're just as lost as ever. We can't even decide where warm waters halt is on this.
Wait,
all right, so you tell me.
What's a competing warm waters halt that's better than Madison Junction?
Like, tell me.
When you stop on the, that's just as good.
No. Okay, so let's stop here. So you have two rivers that are fed by thermal springs. Okay, so they're by definition warm water just because they're thermally fed. They literally halt because they become a new river. Now, I know Jack had said Madison Junction is not WWH, but it's not Madison Junction that's WWH. It is the confluence of the Madison is WWH. Because where do they halt? They halt where the new river starts. So, so Madison Junction technically, I would say isn't. I would say it's the start of the Madison River is where it actually officially is.
You can go and dip your toe, and it is warm, warmer than where I was, and that was not warm to me. Now it might be the forest, and we can. No, is there a warmer spot? I bet you Rudy has taken temperature gauges along the 2 mile stretch.
I didn't go that far.
So, is there a spot in that area that is?
Because Cape Hope, for me, there has to be warm water where warm water holds. There has to be warm water there, in my opinion. And I don't. You put your toe in it. It was cold. I imagine it was
cold where I was at, but over at Ojo Caliente that feeds into this a couple miles up river, Ojo Caliente is hot. So I could say Ojo Caliente could have been WWWH. But Rudy,
that's 2 miles
is there
away,
a warm area there?
Not in the way that you're defining warm, no.
Okay.
But I do think that the lesson from Teachers with Ropes is that warm is relative.
I don't like it.
Oh, no, I didn't like that.
Come on. The Madison was definitely warmer than the creek, right?
It's absolutely warmer than the creek.
Come on. Come on. It was warm
water.
water.
But then where do they halt? The Madison's still going. It's not halting.
Well, we're not talking about Madison. The two rivers, because you have waters, which is plural. So you have the two warm waters, the two warm waters, they halt where the Madison begins. And yes, technically speaking, we can argue that the water still flows because they halt on a map. They are no longer the Firehole. They are no longer the Gibbons. They become a whole new river.
Okay, let me ask a different question then. What's the definition of halt that we're using?
All right, so it does not matter definitions. We're talking about forest. All right, this is where
Forrest told me to dip my toe in it.
And you did. Come on, when it was still warm. It was still warmer than the creek. Again,
it's
relative.
a problem for sure. Definitely a problem.
Yeah.
There's no warm water there.
That's the piece that I don't like about it's not perfect. It still gets you to 9 miles. Jack's the one that said, and people blew me up when I said, does it really matter what WWWH was? That's not how Jack solved it. So, I mean, unfortunately, he didn't need it.
K-Pro, let me put you up on that, because you said in your video that, you downplayed how important warm water halt is. But that directly contradicts what Forrest said, because Forrest said the first clue is beginning where warm waters halt. Without that, you have nothing. So it's crucially important.
But
I
think
you downplayed that a bit in your video.
I'll keep it very short, but here's my response to it. If you have 4 states to work from, you need to know the starting point relatively. Mike and I have done so many hunts where people solve things, not like we think, oh, this is going to be the first one, then they're going to go here, and then they're going to go here, and they're going to solve it. They solve it from different ways. We did a website, and they went to the website first before they even found the hints. Forrest said how Jack was going to solve it. Jack said, Forrest, no. I found it through slip-ups in your interview. What did Forrest say? You need the poem and maybe the book with a little bit of subtle hints. Jack said, I'm sorry, my friend. That's not how I did it. Forrest did not say you have to solve it the way I said. Forrest said, this is how I think you will solve it. You have to have WWWH. Jack's words tell us the opposite, if you believe Jack. Right?
I don't know. I feel like Jack still said he had like his warm water salt pretty quickly. He had his area from Googling. I mean...
Well, he backed it up.
And honestly,
why did he lie on that one Reddit post? Why did he lie on the one Reddit post saying, I don't think it's Madison Junction?
Because it's not Madison Junction. It's the confluence of the Madison River. Because the junction, everything mixed together. So technically it doesn't halt there. It's still mixing together and forming. It's the beginning of the Madison River.
I don't like it. I'm with Adam. I don't like it. Ben, what do you say?
You can take it metaphorically too if you want and stay in this area. It's not Madison Junction. It halts at the border of Wyoming and Montana. So you begin your journey at the border of Montana and Wyoming, and you take it in Madison Canyon down. You can argue that where warm waters halt is the border of Wyoming and Montana because it halts at the border.
How are you doing that? Like, wait, where's your logic there? Because if you're going from the border,
because I looked up the definition of waters. He said, look up all the nouns. So I looked up the nouns, one of the nouns being waters. One of the definitions for waters in Merriam-Webster was water that goes along the border of a sovereignty or a state. So water that goes along the border is the definition of waters. So I only need one body of water to do that.
All right, so then you're going to go up the canyon and you're going to go up the river, which is the opposite of what the poem is telling you to do.
You can take it. What do you mean?
Because you just said you could take it from the border and then go into the Madison Canyon. Like, no, you're going up the river or up the canyon. That's opposite of what Forrest is telling you to do in the poem.
Well, he says take it in the canyon down. You're assuming it means downstream, right?
Well, of course I'm assuming that. I mean, that only makes sense if you're following the Madison River.
Then why didn't he just write downstream?
Because he had to try to make it somewhat difficult. I mean, you have to think.
We're making assumptions. We don't know. If we're going to say it's a solve, we can't just say this is what it is. Can we? Even at this area.
Well,
my argument at this point is that we can argue there's still multiple solves. Even
exactly.
This tiny area,
and this is the thing. And this is the thing. No matter what, unless we hear it out of Forrest's mouth or Jack's mouth, correct. You know, we're going to keep arguing about it. Like the correct solve could be sitting on our lap.
Yeah, but we have fun. We have fun, don't we? We have fun talking about it.
That's the thing. Let's have fun with it because so let me interject here. If you guys saw the one picture of Odious Soul grabbing Jens by the head, this is where she was like, canyon down because he was saying otherwise, and she like literally had to grab his face to explain.
I've said it to a few people, like you can't take Madison Junction up the fire hole. Like, come on, people. Like, you can't go up something like Ben. I mean, yes, he was a pilot. He was a pilot. Yes, pilots fly in all kinds of weird directions. But when it comes to a river,
up on the
your canyon down is Canyon Road, isn't it, Capo?
It's Madison Canyon. So if you take Madison Junction, or if you take Oho to Madison Junction, or Firehole into Madison Junction, you will then take the canyon down, which is 4.2 miles from Madison Junction parking lot to the 9 Mile Hole parking lot. Right. And then you put in at that, and it's too far to walk because it's 4.2 miles. Some people like the 42. I always shout that out to Davio. Mike, you tried to get a word in. Can we defer to you, good sir?
I'll just say I love the location because it's where Forrest grew up. It's where he fished. It's important to him because of his family and all that. He said he was umbilically attached. But if this is the location, I don't think the poem's that great. There is no way that poem leads you precisely to the spot. And that's the problem I have with it.
Too vague, Mike. Too vague.
Exactly. It's ambiguous. He did that on purpose. I get it. But and Milan kind of expressed it. He says the solve would be undeniable to everyone immediately. Yeah, well, that's not the case. What I've come to understand is that's not the case. When Forrest said it would lead you precisely, in my opinion, that's not the case.
So let me ask you a question.
Not with just a poem and a map. No way with just a poem and a map.
And the reason is, on Dale's blog, they were talking about Madison Junction being where Warm Waters halt, 6 years ago? Right. 5 years ago? And since then, it took how many years to find it? And Forrest said when you figure out the first clue, they get progressively easier after that. Well, that obviously is not the case. I mean, there's some very smart searchers that have been in this area for a long time. And Jack had to grid search it in order to find it. I just don't think the poem was as great or as explicit as we all thought it was going to be. It's just too ambiguous.
Let me ask everybody a question, because I don't like the vagueness either.
Or it's not correct.
If there was up at that location where that huge tree was down, let's say that huge tree was up and it was a white tree and it had something that when you got out of your parking lot car, it showed you where you need to, it was obvious. Would that help the specificity of the area? Because I think
you mean if there was something to signal specificity in the area. It's a confirmer in your general area, what you're saying, no matter where your area is. If there was something so Forrest Fenn related in that area, does that work as precise? Even if it just gets you to a football field size area, it tells you, okay, never go anywhere else. This is the spot. I just got to find it now. Is that precise? I think that's precise.
It's precise
relative to 4 states
in the United States. Precise spot. If you find the blaze, you're now at a precise location. There's a little bit of entropy between getting to that clue, but the blaze is still marking a precise spot. It's not marking a general area.
The blaze, right? And that's your technicality. Right. That's you can get out of it with just that argument.
Now let's just discuss. I think the big one for me. And I might have overheard you talking to someone, Shannon. So I think the big one for you, but maybe some others, Home of Brown. There's the whole specialized knowledge. You need to know local knowledge. Is local knowledge specialized knowledge? If you believe Home of Brown is this honey hole, and it is a honey hole, there was so many trout. I wanted to jump in just to see that you guys would see all the trout scatter. It was a huge rock cliff, and that's where they sit. And there was at least 100 trout there. What do you think of the Home of Brown? It seems that people got first 2 clues and then walk right by. What do you think of it being? I don't like it because I want something more. But what do you think? Let's go all the way around the room. Adam, let's start with you. Home of Brown. Do you like the honey hole? Is it specialized knowledge? Is it local knowledge? Does it matter? I think it does. I don't know.
If you're a poem purist, you would have no way at all of solving this because you have to read the book to know about the fishing hole. Right. So that's issue number one. And there's a lot of poem purists who swear they only need the poem. And Forrest said it's hard to solve it with the poem, but you can solve it. Not sure if this is correct. Secondly, on the Home of Brown, I've made some notes. Let me refer to them. Okay, so there's debate whether brown trout should be capitalized at all. I mean, Jack confirmed that the B is indeed correctly capitalized. However, in correspondence to searchers, Forrest Fenn referred to trout, cutthroat trout used a lowercase c, and lake trout used a lowercase l. Okay, this is Forrest Fenn talking to a searcher. He didn't capitalize the name of the trout. So there's an argument to be said that it can't be brown trout for that reason alone, which I think is a good point, and cast doubt on it, in my opinion.
Okay, so let's respond to Adam first. What does anybody have a response about the capitalization? I do, but I want others to weigh in first.
I do.
Well,
I think in the examples that you're referencing, they also include the word trout, which makes that phrasing specific, that it's talking about a specific animal species. Where in a subjective poem, we're not using the full name anymore, and so the word brown would simply be a descriptive word and not specifically a noun. So he had to capitalize it to use that word by itself to still signal that the word was a noun.
Okay, others?
Fenn always capitalized animal types, like when he mentioned like squirrels or whatever. Like he always capitalized, even though it was wrong grammar or incorrect grammar. He would do it anyway. And he said when it comes to grammar, he does what he wants. So, yeah.
Well,
didn't he capitalize the least chipmunk in Two
Yeah,
Walk?
that's what I'm thinking of. But yeah, he definitely did that.
But in these examples, he didn't. He made a point not to capitalize them. So.
Well, so here's my response. Jack, I'm going to go with the Condor database. When he responded to somebody that said, here was my Madison solve, and he's like, this is somebody that understands the big picture. I didn't put the entire thing in the PowerPoint, but the explanation of brown was actually Yellowstone specifically capitalizes brown trout when they describe brown trout in the park, in all of their literature. They have made it, it's almost against the rules to do in English, but for the park, in all of their literature, and this person gave some examples, that they capitalize brown in brown trout if you're in Yellowstone Park on any of their maps, any of their literature, any of their stations, any of their descriptive, what do you call them when you walk up and they have the little kiosk things. All of those were, I mean, I don't know if that's enough. I agree with you. I wish it weren't so. It seems the most obvious, though.
Someone put in the chat, brown trout is also lowercased in a caption in Too Far to Walk in Trophy Hat. So
maybe you didn't want to be that. I don't know. Maybe you don't want to. Okay. So, Buck, what do you think about Home of Brown being a honey hole that you could only know if you had the fishing log that Dale has and a few other searchers have, but not all of us had it? What do you think of this idea of Home of Brown being that honey hole?
I think it needs to be something bigger. I think it needs to be something more significant for it to be the home of brown. You would have to cross and wade across the river, almost depending on the time of year. Use glasses. I had prescription sunglasses that have polarization, so I was able to see the hundreds of brown trout right there. I mean, if there wasn't a fisherman standing there saying, this is like fishing in a barrel, and you were walking by, you would have to have specialized knowledge. I stopped by Jacqueline's fly shop and asked them about 7, 8, 9 mile hole. And I mentioned 9 mile hole, and they were like, oh, yeah, we know that. Yeah, man, that's a great fishing spot. And he's like, we take a lot of our, fishing guide stuff over there. I think it needs to be more significant. And just want to touch on one thing. There's a word that is more important than the others, but you need all of them. I think we talked about while we were out there is that, Madison Junction could be where warm waters halt, but what is the word that will assist you to where you know for sure that is where warm waters halt? And I think in the first stanza where he says the word there, as I've gone alone in there, and then the word it, if you begin it, because he's gone alone in there, and then he's telling you there is it. So as long as I've gone alone in there, and then it says begin it where warm waters halt. If it is the Madison River, it gives you a more precise and less ambiguous place to start. So if you begin it as being the Madison River where warm waters halt, it makes a little bit more sense. A halt is not a complete cessation of rivers. You have Terrace Springs from Gibbon coming in, that is a hot spring. You have the Firehole River, and where I dipped my finger and you dipped your toe in it was actually the Madison River. We didn't walk over to the Firehole. So I think he said you need all of them. If you use it makes more sense. It makes more sense. The Madison makes more sense, and you take it in the canyon down. You're taking it in the Madison Canyon, and all of these things are contiguous. That it touches every single bit of the solve. The only thing I'm not sure of is how far away from 9 Mile Hole is the solve spot. I like the area, and like Shannon said, when we got out there, we walked several hundred feet into the woods, but where we got to that island, you actually had a good panoramic view of the canyon, of the Madison Canyon, trees. The only thing that's missing is sagebrush. But if we're looking at the bigger picture, and he says he smells wonderful sagebrush, the bigger picture might be just that general area, because you really don't hit a lot of sagebrush until you pass the Madison River at 7 Mile Bridge, where it opens up, and we saw the 2 grizzly bears, the babies with the mama. So we wanted to go check that, but we said let's wait till tomorrow. So and we looked in that area right there, that 2 mile stretch. I'm happy with it. I just think that the Home of Brown's more specific than just a honey hole.
So
Okay.
Nick Sparrow's got a good point. Nick says a guy died going into the Rio Grande. Don't you think Forrest would say something if you needed to cross a river? Well, Forrest did say something. He didn't discount it, and to me, that spoke wonders. In other words, people asked him, "Do you have to cross water?" And he wouldn't answer the question. He wouldn't say no. He didn't discount it. So I think that meant yes, you absolutely have to cross water. That's why he couldn't come. He didn't want to come out and say it, but he couldn't come out and say no, don't go into water. What do you guys think?
I agree.
Agreed.
Definitely.
It put him in a hard spot, I'm sure. He was between a rock and a hard place. He did say the chest was not in water, but he would not come out and say don't go in water. You don't have to cross water. That type.
Well, and at the time that it was Sean from the flip side that asked him this question, he said, "Do you have to cross water since so many people have died?" Let's think about this logically. Because so many people have died, he's given hints before, so he would have discounted it to keep searchers safe. The only reason he couldn't, this is my logic, the only reason he couldn't is because you have to cross the river. It's the most direct. So it made it obvious to me. Now, I personally am surprised that he put it in a river that you had to wade across that was as swift as it was. I thought maybe it was a little creek or something. It wasn't. It was.
Christy, can I talk to you about the river for a minute?
Yes.
Okay, so I watched the video again today of you crossing the Madison.
Yeah.
And it's fast. It's a big, wide river. That's a big river.
Yes.
It's fast flowing, and it's even. I presume you crossed at the shallowest point, and even then it was over your knees. Like we all know.
And that's in fall.
Yeah, and that's in fall.
Spring, it's going to have spring runoff, and it'll be much deeper.
Mm-hmm. Now, we all know the redneck quote, he hopes someone with 10 kids finds it. Now, how would you feel about having a 3-year-old in one arm and a 4-year-old in the other arm and wading across that Madison up to your knees? You slip on a rock, oh, there goes one kid, there goes the other. Crap.
You wouldn't.
No, you leave the kids in the big red pickup truck. You don't bring them along across the river.
No, that's not what Forrest Fenn's about. Forrest Fenn's about getting people out into the wilderness.
Okay, no, that's all a fake facade.
Cars.
Forrest was all about his legacy. He only brought up the redneck with the pickup truck and the 12 kids later on. He was all about his legacy. This was his legacy. This was his end claim to fame to turn his life and make something amazing out of it. This was not about getting people out in nature.
Well,
he rode that wave once the fame started, but that's not how it started or why it started.
I think it's a family themed treasure hunt, and I think the idea of crossing the Madison with kids in tow is terrifying. And I'm trying to keep an open mind about it, but I just struggle so much with crossing.
I mean, I wouldn't take my kids out in Yellowstone with the freaking grizzly bears. I mean, come on, like I wouldn't go off Forrest said this was nowhere near a human trail. I would not go off a trail with my dog. I wouldn't go off the trail with a kid. I wouldn't do any of that stuff. And he's warned us about grizzly bears. He's warned us about things. This is not for the little kids. And I don't know any searcher who has taken a little kid with them. I know people who've taken teenagers.
No, I do.
Well, teenagers, maybe a 10-year-old if they're really responsible, but like, I mean,
I'm only going to quote Jack. Condor said, Forrest did not start the narrative about families and get out there with your families until after the chase had started and he was in this promotions mode. That's the only thing, but I can tell you my 12-year-old, I would not take across that river.
I accept that all came after the hunt started, whatever, later, but if he knew that chest was in a potentially dangerous area, he would not be saying, take your kids away from the computer screens and get them out into the wilderness if he knew they're going to have to cross the Madison.
But
no, that's not true, because you got to think, like, there's still other activities they could have done. They could have stayed on the other side of the river and went fishing. And I mean, you can safely cross that river if you have the right shoes on, you cross at the right place, and you're going the right speed. You know, and that's the important part, because like at the actual honey hole, it's deep and there's a cliff you would have to climb up to if you tried to cross there. Where we crossed, yes, it was swifter, but it was shallower and you could easily see where the gravel was. You didn't have to step on the slippery rocks. Like, but I think this is also the same thing. Like, there's people who live in cities who don't know what nature looks like.
Right.
You know,
for anybody.
You know,
you were searching.
All right.
My kids, like we always did dangerous things in nature. Yeah, we didn't have to worry about wrestling with grizzly bears, but like, you know, we always went hiking. We always did, like, we went rock climbing. Like, my kids probably could have handled it at 8, 9, or 10 years old. Where like my stepdaughter, like, no way. Like, I wouldn't know. Like, all she knows how to do is use a tablet. Like, there's no way I would take her out of nature and make her do that.
But I don't think that Forrest had all the vantage points on this. There's no perfect person. I think Forrest thought of himself at 13. He did not realize, and I don't think he was encouraging Flatlander kids to get out there. When he said, when Randy passed away or Randy was missing, he said, I hope Randy is just out on a beach somewhere sipping a pina colada. But his dog was left on the Rio Grande. Forrest, I do not think, anticipated the level of danger for Flatlanders because he had no vantage point. He was on this Madison at 8, 10, 12 years old. At 13, he was a fishing guide and all that. That's my opinion. I love your points, Adam, because
let me give one more point before I pass it over. Mysterious writings, and I'm quoting Forrest Fenn. If you know precisely where it is, you can probably retrieve it in any weather. Now, I'm guessing in the winter, any weather, that Madison will be a raging torrent. So how does that connect to?
Or is it frozen? Well, I don't know.
You can't. I don't even think you can get on that road in certain times of the year, so that's not a factor.
Well, he says if you know precisely where it is, you can retrieve it in any weather.
Well, yeah, I guess if you had the right car, maybe he did not worry about it because he knew that road was inaccessible for at least 6 months out of the year.
But let's also say, why did he put on Mysterious Writings the type of waiter you should get? Not on his general books, not on something else. In the chase on Mysterious Writings, he outlined the type of waiter to get. Why would he do that if he's not saying you got to wade through and you probably should use some weight? I'm shocked. I didn't know.
Confirmation bias right there, I think.
Does anybody know this quote from Forrest? Jeep Girl Jody says, Forrest said you wouldn't have to cross a river unless you were on the wrong side. I don't remember Forrest saying that. Does anybody else?
No, I've never heard that.
No.
You're going to have to show some proof on that one, Jeep Girl. Sorry.
Hey, Jody. I'm going to say hi to her real fast. I love me, my Jody.
Okay, so let's keep going. We are on Ben. Home of brown. It's brown trout. Come on. Why didn't you think of that? What do you think?
I just think it's ridiculous. You could call it maybe Madison River. Madison River is the home of the brown because it lives in the Madison, I guess. I mean, sure. I don't like it. I like mine much better, and I hate mine. So mine's a joke.
I don't think it's
honestly,
out there yet.
It doesn't match what even Jack said when he says that there was an additional nuance to Home of Brown that maybe even only Fenn himself gets. So brown trout, there's more. What nuance is left here? I don't understand how brown trout can be Home of Brown. It makes sense, I guess, sure, but this thing would have been found in 2012.
Without the
Should have
broken
been
blaze, I
Seems
think
like
this
it.
would have been a
Yeah.
Copper Dan hunt. This would have been over in a day. But Odious Soul, what do you think of Home of Brown trout?
Does that deep breath say anything to what I think of it? I mean, I guess, I can't say we haven't all thought of brown trout since the very beginning. So it was just a matter of where. But I don't know. Like, I do think that ledge there was a unique formation. I have not walked the entire length of Madison River, like those 4.2 miles. So I don't know what the rest of the Madison looks like. I don't know if this is the only place with the rocky ledges. Maybe because it cast a shadow. Maybe that's why there's a shadow over the river on the cover of Too Far to Walk. I don't know. And I don't know if we will ever concretely know unless Jack or the ghost of Fenn. I mean, maybe we need to get a medium and just see what comes through. But I mean, this one does irritate me. I think if there wasn't confirmation up to this point, like, I still just want to know what it means. I want to know what Fenn had in his head, but I'm trying not to get stuck on that. I'm trying not to get stuck on what was in Fenn's head, whether it was the brown trout or the way the rocks and the shadows and the actual hole that was there. I don't know. I don't know.
What do you think, Rudy? Do you like Home of Brown being a trout? And then back again after.
I've had a back and forth relationship with that. I liked it at first, gave up on it, and then when we restarted the discussion about particularly the 9 Mile Hole area, I sort of had to warm up to the idea of brown trout again. But I think the objections that I have been answered, at least for me. And I'd like to, if you don't mind, point out a few things that I might be able to help explain for other people. First of all, we don't need Marvin's fishing log to find it. We can identify the location from the thrill of the chase. I know because I went there very, very early on. Now, that doesn't necessarily solve that clue, but I'm saying people who were visiting the different spots that were talked about in the thrill of the chase, whether they visited the Railroad Museum where Forrest showered, or where the Totem Cafe Caper was, or Red Canyon, or the different fishing holes, Oho and Madison Junction. It was a location that you would identify if you were following in Forrest footsteps and creating a solve around areas that were deeply personal to them. So you can get there with specialized knowledge in terms of finding out where these popular fishing holes are, but you can also do it. There's kind of a couple of different ways to still identify that spot and that crossing area. I like it. It's not perfect, but I'm happy with it.
Okay. So if we were to
Can I
go
jump
around
in
the
real
room-
quick?
Yes, Ben, I'm sorry.
Real quick,
Yes.
re Madison River and how difficult it is. I get the arguments pro and con. Let's not forget Ashley, who's never crossed a river in her life, crossed that thing in sandals and lived to tell the tale.
At 9 Mile Hole or somewhere
Not
else?
that hard.
At
What?
9 Mile Hole? At 9 Mile Hole or somewhere else?
Oh, at Mount Haines. At Mount Haines Overlook.
Okay.
Right at
Oh.
right where that dock thing is. It was very easy to cross.
Oh, that reminds me. Can I jump in for a second? Ask Christy a question. Let me refer to my notes because I made a note of it. Okay, so in the video, I noticed that you parked at 9 Mile Hole and then walked down to near Fenn Rock and crossed there, and then moved, and then went back up. Is that correct?
Yes.
Where is that in the poem? Is my question.
Well, it's an interesting debate because the one day we were there with Jens, and Jens said, don't cross there, actually cross above the creek because it might be deeper, but it's not as swift water. And then if you go down just past the Fen Rock, it is not as deep, but it's a lot swifter. And then I turned to someone, I don't remember who, and said, over 100 years, don't you think this would change over time? So I'm going to tell you, for me, I don't know if it matters where he actually crossed, because over 100 or 1,000 years, it's going to change. But we decided, and Jens was against it. Jens is like, no, the water does not pull you at all, but you will be up to your belly button. And I went,
Wow.
no, I like the idea of just being up to my shins, but it pulled. So it's kind of interesting. That gravel's going to move over time. But
I from a fisherman's perspective, you're not going to want. That's why he said to put in below the homo brown, because he doesn't want you to interrupt the fish. Like, I don't know what time of year fish spawn, but if I was a fish, I wouldn't want you messing with my eggs, and if I was a fisherman, I wouldn't want you messing with them either, because I'm going to catch them and eat them in another year or two. Like, I don't know, but that's kind of like my thought, like to put him below it, because you don't want to interrupt, the honeypot.
It was,
That's a good point.
But either way, it was below for us that went. We were below, and the fishermen that actually were at the spot, they went down just a couple feet, and then they were up in their waders. And the one guy that was about, I'd say 80, he fell. I tried to get him.
He was like a good 65, probably like 220, 30 pounds. And yeah, it was funny. It was funny to watch him tumble.
And he grabbed he didn't care about standing up. He cared about his fishing pole. I mean, that was the most important thing to him. And so he grabbed his fishing pole and he jumped back up. So I don't know if that answered your question, but either way, it would have been below. But there might have been a safer place. This is the thing I hate about it the most. So,
but you get my point, Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I think you hit the point. Vagueness, the home of brown. Those are the two big. But I'm hearing, and you guys tell me what you think. I am hearing we like 9 Mile Hole.
Mm-hmm.
The Sauls, we're not all convinced. We're not anywhere close to saying, this is it. Why didn't I think of that? That's concise. That's perfect. Right? Is that what I'm hearing?
It's far from perfect.
And that's why I don't think it's it yet. Like, everybody keeps asking me, well, what about your nook that you and Buck and the Obsidian? That's not mine. That's where the camera's pointed. So let's talk about others had been in that spot. There's a clearing. The one thing I did like is kind of the football size. And he said he was in the football size area. And then there's this clearing that is right at the end of a dry creek. What do we think about the exact spot? Do we like the exact spot? We already don't like it up to this point. I don't think this will go well. But the camera's pointed there. And they were Jack and Forrest's secret cameras, right?
The hole that you guys were looking at, that's where the tree came out. I don't believe that's where the chest was.
That's where the camera's pointed. That's where the camera's pointed.
I mean,
they didn't have cameras to point for him, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like Jack put him up there, so.
It's as good as any other spot that isn't majestic. There's majestic spots, and then there's everything else in the wilderness. This was everything else in the wilderness. Fair?
No, it wasn't. It was like you had like the way the mountains looked. I mean, it was just. It was like you couldn't see anything from that spot except for the vistas. And, it was kind of cool how, like, when you're walking up there, there are pine trees growing everywhere. Like, it's, like, so thick. And then you just get to the spot where it's open.
But Jack said, and I think... Go ahead, Ben. You first.
I was just going to say one thing that you notice when you're walking in this area, you see a lot of pine trees that were just buried at a more recent period of time. That Fenn, when he was walking through this area himself in 2009 or 2010, some of those trees were a lot lower to the ground. He had a much easier time walking in and out of this area than any of us did in 2020 or 2021. Just wanted to throw that.
Yeah, definitely.
And I won't limit you to only yes or no answers because that's not what we do on this channel. But do you think that the general area was special, but not the exact spot? I'm of the notion that the exact spot doesn't matter. It was the general area, and that's all that mattered to Forrest. So it didn't matter. It was 150 feet this way or that way. He found a spot that was off the beaten trail. Do you agree? Yes or no?
Yes.
Adam, what do you think?
I've always envisioned the spot to be near a river, like within view of it. This location that you found, it's 150 feet away from the river. You can't even see the river there. You have to clamber over all these broken down trees and whatnot. And to me, the location, it looks a bit barren. It looks a bit almost depressing. I'm not sure if it's a place where I would want to die, and I'm not sure if it's fenny enough for my liking. I would have preferred a spot nearer the river, maybe just into the woods where you can still see the river, you know, rather than the place in the middle of the middle of the woods.
Okay.
What do you think, Buck?
Okay, so I'll play devil's advocate. So Jack stated that it was someplace that was pristine. Well, when you start to go in the woods more than 50 feet, there's no such thing as pristine. There's down trees. It's just, you know, I agree with you, Adam. I think that it's something within view of the Madison River, just inside the wooded area. You can cross a river. Maybe you don't have to cross a river if you cross a bridge. I like the 9 Mile Hole area. I searched the 7 Mile Bridge area. I was telling you guys on a previous show that when he said the end is ever drawing nigh, right at 7 Mile Bridge, there is Gneiss, which is pronounced Nyes Creek. And then I was starting to think that the home of Brown being capitalized is saying what it is. And for me, and this is just me, just kind of having a different thought, that there's the possibility that it's the Madison River, there's the Madison River, and the home of Brown is the Madison River, and you have to put in below it. You can be not smart and cross the river, or be smart and then cross the bridge and walk into the woods that way. That's just me playing devil's advocate with my own solve in that area. And when I left, I'll be honest, when I checked the 7 Mile Bridge area, I checked the specific area with Jens. I found something. We found something together, and it was pointed out, and I recognized it from too far to walk. And I went home thinking that that may be the spot, but it's still within the general area. And whether it was between 7 Mile or 9 Mile, I think Forrest wanted to smell beautiful sagebrush, and it could be in that general location. It doesn't necessarily matter where it's at.
Okay.
We're never going to. We may not know the exact spot.
Yeah. Yep. What do you think, Ben? Exact spot or general area was the specialness?
I think it depends on how we understand what Fenn meant by "I'd make it work no matter what." Did he say he'd make it work no matter what because this was his favorite fishing hole and he always wanted to hide a treasure here, so it didn't matter where the precise spot was, he'd make it work no matter what? Or did he find a specific spot in a specific area that he goes, this is if ever there was a spot for a treasure chest, this is it. I'll make this work no matter what. It just depends on your definition. I just don't know which one is accurate. I will say that the 7 Mile spot I don't like, because if you're telling me an 80-year-old man is walking the long route with pounds of treasure, I just don't buy that. We're talking 500 to 1,000 feet tops. But I will say I don't know what took 15 years to write this poem, unless the intention of taking 15 years was to make sure it was very hard, in which case that's obfuscating, my friends. And that's what took so long.
Mike has said those exact words. What do you think, Shannon? General location or exact spot?
I mean, I don't even know what to say or think here, honestly.
Well, there you have it. It's all confirmed. Yeah. What do you think?
Hey, shut it down.
I'm just gonna leave it.
Legal reasons.
NDA. Signed an NDA. Can't talk.
I don't know. I would just be guessing if it's an exact spot or not. As I said at the beginning, I spent 2 different trips out there this summer, and I was searching for a damaged blaze and secondarily to that, I was also looking for anything that could be matched to the photos, which have been carefully cropped to make our work very, very, very difficult.
Yeah.
And I didn't find, I found probable areas, but nothing that was substantial enough that I would go, this feels right in the sense of it being exact. And I don't know if we can get that, even if we found those objects, there'd be debate over, is this a damaged blaze?
Right.
And particularly after the second trip, I felt pretty satisfied of like, hey, I did my best looking for, if this was easily identifiable. But I don't know, it's somewhere in that area.
So let's bring it back to a totally different topic. 200 versus 500 footer. I think part of the reason the cameras are set up where they're set up is it's an exact path to get 500 feet from the road within a few miles. And I know there's been flags put up, there's cameras put up. Do you think the 9 Mile will fit 500 feet from the road at 9 Mile hole? Let's go backwards. Rudy, let's start with you and then we'll go around the panel.
I think the area that you're talking about where the cameras set up get you that 500-foot barrier in terms of the many people who are close. We do have a flaw with the 200-foot boundary there. We know that lots of people have been through that space. I've had people email me, when I started talking about the area going, here's where I searched, here's what I saw back in the day. So it doesn't solve the 200-foot problem. I think that's a lot more difficult to narrow down in that area.
Okay, what do you think, Shannon? 200? Do you think?
I think this fits perfectly because the top of that island is 500 feet from the road. It's 200 feet from the south side of the Madison, and we know people have crossed the Madison and searched that side of the Madison. They just, we do know people have gone up the creek. Maybe Forrest just didn't want to tell anybody that they were closer than 200 feet. But we can definitely assume that Diggin' Gypsy was one of those that was within 200 feet, when he was talking at the bookstore and, or one of the book things, one of his many things. So, I think it fits perfectly, honestly.
Okay, Ben?
There's
200, 500 feet fit this area.
I'm looking up the fact that the island is 500 feet. I guess it is if you go to the tippy top of it. Okay, so that makes sense. Well, I was going to say I don't necessarily think it works mathematically, but also at the same time, a lot of places along the Madison could fit the 200, 500 foot question if we want to be that precise. My spot at Mount Haynes fits the 200, 500 foot issue to the T. So
at the 9 Mile hole parking lot?
No, the Mount Haynes parking lot.
Okay, you're in
puts
the wrong
you from the down tree. But here's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you can make this 200, 500 thing work with parking lots along the Madison River.
It's as general as warm water.
That's what I'm saying. Does it work? Yes, but it doesn't negate any other spot.
Yeah. Okay. What about you, Buck?
Yep, 200, 500. Park in a parking spot, walk across the street, 200 feet, and then from there you walk 500 feet. I think the biggest thing that we're all in agreement with is that it has to be in an area, whether you cross a river, you walk around the river, you cross a bridge, it's within a 500-foot mark of possibly the Madison River. And I think this is my thought, is that we're looking for a tree that he wrote a love letter to his wife, Peggy. I think that might be what we're all missing. I don't know. But again, going back to that general area, that's what Jens and I was looking for when I was by myself with him. When I was with you, I was looking for a tree that would fit something, whether it was downed or not, that would look nice enough that you'd want to sit down, set your fishing gear down and write a love letter and watch the osprey dive for fish. And at that area where the cameras were set up and we went to on the island, you can't see the river, but you can hear a babbling creek, which also drowned out any of the road noise that was coming off of the road. So,
yeah, somebody asked that in chat. You couldn't hear it because of the river.
You can't hear it.
Adam, what do you think?
How many 200 footers were it meant to have been?
He said a couple, and then he said Several on the 500. Several on 500. A couple on the 200.
The 9 Mile Hole is one of the most popular search areas, isn't it? And I imagine many people would have been on the island looking for the chest. So why would he have said only a handful?
I wouldn't say that. A lot of people did not think you needed to wait across. I think this
fire.
time,
You didn't think?
I don't think, because I think they would have looked at that and said, "Hell no, I got kids with me." I would have.
Exactly.
Or that creek, going up that creek, like, you know, looking at that, thinking like, man, could my grandpa climb up that? I mean, you know, so.
Yeah.
And I think like the people that were in the area, like you have to think how nature covers things up and how quickly nature can cover things up. I mean, yes, in that area we really only saw pine needles. You know, there really wasn't too much like underbrush or anything, but nature covers up things pretty fast.
Yeah, and I think there's a big difference from what we saw. I think all of us but Adam have been to this spot, and what Forrest saw 10, 11 years ago.
Or 50 years ago when he first fell in love with it. I mean, Forrest, especially in Yellowstone, you know, after the fire, I mean, it probably looked completely different when he was a child.
Right. So, Mike, I think it's time. Let's bring up the Diggin' Gypsy email / preface to Too Far to Walk.
It's breaking news, I think.
All right, before we do this, I have to go to sleep because it's my bedtime. So
thank you
guys for having me.
Yes.
For playing all the devil's advocates and giving me a hard time.
Thanks for the debate.
So, Shannon, if there's somebody in the room with you, just blink twice, okay?
No, I'm all alone.
Oh, okay.
I am all alone. I'm a single woman now. I am an empty nester. Life is good.
All right.
Vegas,
Thank you for coming on,
baby,
Shannon.
you won't be
Yes,
single.
I booked my airplane tickets today. I will be at WSOF. So
Oh, nice. Okay. We
yes,
hope
I will.
everybody
I
on the
will be
panel
there.
at World Series.
I will be there. So everybody needs to come buy me a drink. Get me drunk.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, we tried that before and that didn't work.
What are you talking? Oh, I mean, I'm not going to give you my secrets.
Bob,
You're just going to get a really good time. Come on, you know you had fun with me. You know I'm fun. I can still keep secrets.
For every
when I'm
drink
drunk.
I bought her, I was drinking a Heineken Zero. Just try to stay.
And I thank you for being our designated driver, by the way. Thank you.
Yes, that one night you got us back safe. And we gossiped all night long like the little biddies. I got all the secrets. I got all of them.
No, she didn't. She's full of it.
Shannon,
She's so full of it.
Thumbs up.
Shannon, I used to watch your videos back in the day. I used to love them. So it's great to see you back anyway.
Oh, thank you, Adam. Thank you for supporting.
I was thinking where you guys told me I had to drive you. I'm like, I'm dropping you off where Cody the Buffalo was found in a stand of pine tree 7 miles west of town. It's like, oh my God.
It wasn't intentional.
You looked at us like, you got to be kidding me. I'm so tired. Do I really have to drive you 20 minutes?
I kind of did say that.
That's what your eye
That's what
said.
your eye said. Yeah. I did just say. Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, good night, everybody.
Good
Take
night,
care.
Good night, Shannon.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Right.
Thanks, Shannon. Okay,
Steve,
and a big
is that
thank
a
you.
Kona? Huh?
Is it a what?
Sorry. I was asking
Oh.
Steve if that's a Kona that he's drinking.
Oh, gotcha.
Yes.
I'm going to tee this
Call it
up.
out.
I'm going
Shocker.
to tee this up, and I have a dog that needs out. So here is what we have from. So I spent some time with Diggin' Gypsy. There's a lot in the conspiracy bridge that's going to be talked about next week and following weeks. This one in particular I wanted to share, and I appreciate Diggin' Gypsy for understanding when I said I need to see exact emails, because people, and I'm one of them, I summarize for us sometimes, and it's not exactly, I just perceive something a little different. So I asked Diggin' Gypsy, I said, what is one of the reasons you were on the Madison? And maybe 9 Mile Hole or not. And she said, well, Forrest told me, he gave me a copy of Too Far to Walk before everybody else got it. And he told me where to look in that book. And I went, oh, I would love to see that email. I believe it says that, but you guys are going to see the exact words. And then we've actually pulled the preface of Too Far to Walk, where he discusses the Madison. And I think we should just use this as a little exercise, because if Nudgegate happened to Jack, this is more of a nudge than I've seen, my opinion. But Mike, tee that up. I'm going to go work with the dog, and I'll be right back.
Okay, so thank you to Diggin' Gypsy for sharing this, because she doesn't have to. But here it is. Let's do it like this. So again, this is August 21, 2013. This is the night before Forrest Fenn's birthday, and this is way back in 2013. His email was ffen@earthlink.net, and I believe that was the email that was in the book when it first came out, right? He changed it, I think, quite a while after that. Okay, so in 2013, he sends this email to Diggin' Gypsy, and it says, Marty, here's my new book, but not the final edit. I was still writing it the day before we went to on the press last Monday. Read my preface. Please don't pass it beyond your family. So basically, as far as we know, Diggin' Gypsy is the first person to read the preface of Too Far to Walk. He doesn't say read the book. He says, read my preface. Please don't pass it beyond your family. Now, the beginning gives a couple stories of the preface, right? And for most of us that know, the important part is the last couple paragraphs. I put a small dinghy in the Madison River a few miles from West Yellowstone, Montana, and fished downstream to Baker's Hole. That part of the river was in the quietly forgotten western edge of Yellowstone Park. There were no roads, no trails, and no rangers to remind me that I wasn't supposed to do that. The river distance was about 10 miles, and the best fishing was in the bends where the water turned greenish, deep, and beautiful. The small boat containing my camping gear was tethered to my belt as I leisurely walked in the quiet river. I spent 3 days there, casually casting my fly and enjoying the solitude. The river experience cemented my connection to that special country, and I promised myself that someday I would make the trip again. That day never came for me, and my disappointment still casts a lonesome shadow across the Madison River. For me now, it's just too far to walk. So I got a question for the panel, and that is, do you think Forrest has explicitly told us the it in the poem is Madison River by using a line from the poem? He's telling us, for Forrest, this is what is too far to walk. To you, does that mean he's confirming that the Madison River is the it in the poem? And number two, do you think it was fair that he sent this to Diggin' Gypsy before anybody else saw it? Do we know if Diggin' Gypsy took this as it's along the Madison, or did she not take it that way, K-Pro? Do you know?
I know that, so I spent quite a bit of time, and thank you for all the time, Diggin' Gypsy, that we talked. She took it going to Hepton. She took it, you get in, whether you get in at 9 Mile, you're taking that dinghy down the way, and that kind of pushed her more towards, but it definitely hit Madison. 10-mile stretch, 10 miles, Shannon with the, yeah. So, but I will say I think it was a confirmer Madison for her, but I don't want to speak for her, but she's in chat. She can answer.
So just in general, do you guys think the preface of Too Far to Walk kind of confirms the Madison River?
Yes.
Ben, no?
No. I agree. I'm shaking my head at this is a completely different chase than the one I signed up for. Just is. The guy gave a hint. Game over.
He definitely gave hints.
Different chase.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's just another confirmer. Yeah. Like every time I convinced myself he didn't, he did.
Now, Diggin' Gypsy has weighed in and says she doesn't think it was a 9 Mile.
I am shocked to hear that Forrest sent that to a searcher weeks before. I mean, how long did she have that before it was released?
There was a couple more emails to it. Whether it's a couple days or a week or 2 weeks.
Before the book was released.
Sure.
It was before the book was. It said something like it's with the editor now. She gave me the whole rigmarole. I just tried to give it.
She would have had it. Saying there was a hint in there, she would have had it for weeks before anybody else.
Possibly, yeah.
Some period of time. Now, whether it matters if it's a day, a week, a month, a year, because think about it, Too Far to Walk, you're going through Dorothy at the bookstore, and they send it in the snail mail when they get to it about a week in, and it takes a month to get any copy of the book. But yeah, she had it before others.
So it's either nothing in there and it's nothing, or it is a hint, and Forrest was giving private hints to people.
Well, what do you think, Rudy?
Well, if the debate is whether it's a hint or not, and we can't tell, how would Diggin' Gypsy have known either? I do think that the way that the hints work is that they are matched to phrases and words in the poem. They have to be, because Forrest said that you would read the book, read the poem, read the book, read the poem. What else can you line up there and catch up in your mind? But we didn't know whether we knew that the thrill of the chase had hints. We didn't know if Too Far to Walk did. So looking backwards on this, yes, I think it works the same as a hint. but I don't think there's enough information there to call it a confirmer.
Well,
But-
if you were searching
It says
the
in
Madison,
Yellowstone.
if you're searching the Madison and you're having conversations with Forrest, and he sends you too far to walk before anybody else gets it, and says, "Oh, by the way, look at the preface."
And don't share it beyond family.
And don't share it.
Why would Forrest do that? I don't understand. Why put yourself out there to these accusations?
I don't
You
think
have to ask
Forrest
him on
cared.
that one.
I don't think Forrest cared.
So
What
here's
people
what
thought
Diana
they were
said,
gonna think.
and
Right.
there is a method to
Bingo,
the madness.
Mike.
Here's what Diana said.
Yeah, I don't think he cares.
Diana said Forrest gave plenty of hints to searchers, so-called hints, but none of them found it. Yes, one of them did, Diana. His name is Jack. If he would give us a nudge to perhaps Diggin' Gypsy, which I think there's a little bit of evidence here to show that, would he maybe in April of 2019 give a little nudge to Jack when he was down in Santa Fe?
Mm-hmm.
We're waiting
Yeah, I
on
think
that
we
for the
can- we can-
conspiracy.
Does
We-
Diggin'
you-
Gypsy
the
think
lead-
it's a hint?
See what I did?
Leading
See what I did
argument.
there?
The leading argument against Nudgegate was that Fenn wouldn't do that. That was the leading argument against Nudgegate, because we know things we couldn't share. But like just as a philosophical debate, Fenn wouldn't give hints. Therefore, this is dumb. Okay. I mean, this is another item on the stack of items of Fenn giving out hints.
Capo.
If this thing was in Yellowstone, that alone is just enough to call it a hint. It doesn't even have to be Madison River, because
But
in the
once
scope of 4 states.
But I think the whole issue is once this book came out for everybody, that's a hint to everybody. Was Forrest that direct? Say, hey, everybody, I'm going to put it right in the Madison. This isn't subtle. This is saying that's my special spot. It does. Forget about
no, we have an entire book
Wait, hold on.
over.
Hold on. Did Marty Digging Gypsy share this email with everybody when it happened, so that everyone knew that the preface was important?
No, I don't think so.
So then there's no debate here. Only Forrest had that knowledge the whole time.
Forrest never said in the email it was important. He just said read the preface. You can take that any way you want. He didn't say there's a hint. He didn't say wink, wink. He said read the preface, but don't share it with anybody. That's all he said. But what I'm saying is look at the thrill of the chase. He says there's subtle hints, but they won't. Didn't he say there's subtle hints, but they won't help you get closer to the chest?
He said there was one unintended hint in the preface.
No, I'm talking about. I'm going switching back to thrill of the chase.
Right.
And all the
will
hints
only
in
help you
thrill
with
of
the
the chase are overt. I mean, he had it right in front of us. That's the part I don't like. He shows a picture of the Homer Brown. If it is this fishing spot, he shows a picture of Fenn Rock right at 9 Mile Hole. That's what I don't
You're
like.
missing the forest through the trees. You're missing the big picture here. It doesn't matter if that email said, look on page 12, look at the preface. It says, look at this part and don't share it with anyone else. Could he have possibly, when he's discussing with Dale, shutting down the chase and a few other things that we've discussed, does this open conspiracy theory bridge? I will tell you, I started my discussion with Diggin' Gypsy related to 9 Mile Hole. And I am down a rabbit hole of conspiracy theories you guys won't believe, because of thank you for our discussion. And that doesn't even get into the half of what we're going to get into in the future. But here's the thing. Is that a hint? Now that we know where it was, do you consider that a nudge to Diggin' Gypsy? I do, but I might be off. I feel now that we know that it was on the Madison, for us to say, look at the preface where I'm discussing the Madison, he might not have said, look at this paragraph, this page, but that's a nudge.
Yeah. If it is the Madison, then it's obviously a nudge. Obviously, if it is the Madison. How can you deny that? It's clearly.
So who thinks that whenever Forrest would say, you might as well ask me how deep is a hole, that he was referencing on 9 Mile Hole, like it was a little hint, a little wink to everybody.
I love that. That I love.
How deep is a hole? 9 miles. 9
brilliant.
Mile hole.
Capo, what do you make of? He says there's one hint or a hint in the second book, Too Far to Walk, but he didn't realize it was there until it was published. What do you make of that?
He said
he's a treasure master, puzzle master dude. He's just this is salesman stuff. I don't trust those quotes as far as I can throw them. I trust this email much more than I trust him saying living out on the edges, blah blah blah.
Well, yeah, okay. So, but he said there is a hint in the book, so maybe that is it.
Well, he says he didn't realize they would cut off Rocky Mountains of Canada, and the hint was it's not in Canada. But I think the unintended hint was something else.
It's for show. He wanted to sell books, in my opinion. That is the only reason he said it, outside of the hint he gave Diggin' Gypsy, the nudge he gave. Rudy, do you believe in nudge game in any way? Percentage, yes or no?
I believe in whatever there's evidence for. And if there had been an email that had come out and Diggin' Gypsy had been the finder, I think people would look at that and go, that is kind of pointing in the right direction. So, by your definition of that sort of evidence. Okay. But the thing is, we're looking at it backwards.
She went to Baker's Hole.
So yeah, and she just posted in chat. She went to Baker's Hole. You're sort of wink sounding like you're talking about the Madison River, but I don't know. It's not a confirming hint, in my opinion.
Well, it's kind of
I don't think it is either.
Go ahead, Mike.
No, I was just going to say, I don't think it is either. If Diggin' Gypsy was there at 9 Mile Hole and he knows she's there, wouldn't he just say, hey, read my preface? That area is special to me also. Has nothing to do with the treasure chest. If this is not, think about it. If this is not the location, he's simply saying, look at the preface. It's going to come out. Just don't share it with anybody else.
Well, I think you happen to go to my favorite spot.
Yeah.
That makes sense, though.
No. Forrest said that to her. Here's what we're going to share this email.
He said that to a lot of people, though. That's where hold on. I don't mean to jump on you, but that's what Mike is saying. Sounds a lot like what I'm hearing from other people. For instance, like Searcher X got an email from Fenn that said, "Oh, you're going to that spot? Check out this spot too." Like he did do that a lot.
Well, the only thing in the preface is the Madison River. So the only hint is Madison River.
This is much more specific. Yeah, I don't know what to say about this. This is much more specific.
Here's a question. If this is a nudge or a hint, what clue did it help with? Because the way I'm looking at it, he's allowing her to focus on a general area, but not really saying whether that's part of the solve or not.
Who said he had to help with a specific clue? I think he's saying, hey, you got the right general search area. That I would call that a nudge. If he says you have the right general area. Yeah, absolutely. That's a nudge.
1 million square miles, and he basically puts her in 10 square miles. Now she went to Baker's Hole, and
we know that from looking at it from behind, though. We wouldn't going forward into it. People could use that to justify any of the solves in, Rumbrock Creek or Cabin Creek or Beaver Creek.
If Diggin' Gypsy was already in this area, this doesn't really change anything. He never told her specifically where to go along
the area. It doesn't matter what her solve is. He's not responding to a word of her solve. He's just confirming an area to her, which is enough to go, no, that's a nudge.
But then he did it for all of us when the book came out. We all read the exact same. She just had it earlier.
Yeah, just give it to her 2 weeks.
Why give it to her early? Right.
It's curious.
That's like giving us the...
Give it to Jack in April of 2019.
Here's a question. Do you think Forrest wanted a well-known searcher to find it? For this exact reason?
That's a good question.
He was rooting for
that's why he picked Jack.
Why?
No, that's why he picked Jack.
Rooting for toe-to-toe. Who do you think toe-to-toe was about? Well, go ahead.
Well, you think Diggin' Gypsy and Jack, right? Well, I'm not sure that Forrest would want a well-known searcher to find it. Can you imagine if you found it? Can you imagine the outcry if you found it?
Right.
Do you think it's like
underdog? There'd be the same outcry. He did not care.
Really?
There would be there would be no outcry.
Wait till you see the rest of the emails.
Send them me.
Hold on.
There were no known searchers in 2013. Yeah, there were no known searchers in 2013. That's your point, Ben,
it's
right?
2013. He can hint to anybody he wants to, and no one's getting in trouble. It's 2013. Different world.
Okay, fair point, Ben.
That's true.
Point.
So here's a super chat. Maybe you guys, $10 super chat from None Ya Business. Maybe you guys can answer this. Could you walk in the Madison from Madison Junction to 9 Mile Hole? Can you walk that? The too far to walk preface could hint against 4.5 miles along the Madison to 9 Mile Hole. If you could walk that section of the Madison, you can?
Yeah, not with
the most possible way to do it.
Oh, for Cynthia, that's like walk in the park. For me,
thank you for the super chat.
I'd be dying.
JK.
Remember, this is 10 years ago. Who knows what the stream looked like 10 years ago when Forrest hid the treasure?
JK
Every year it's going to go up and down, right? The water level and the melt and all that kind of stuff.
Michael,
well, here's the thing.
JK Pioneer says, in his opinion, I agree with JK Pioneer. If you were close, Forrest would nudge you further away. I think he's right. I don't think Forrest wants it to be found.
That's true. I kind of lean more toward that. But then you know what? When K-Pro was there and said Nez Pierce, he's like, "Did you dip your toe in it?" He's telling her her warm waters halt was wrong.
No, he said wet Nez Pierce, and it was Nez Pierce Trail. I think that was a lot less overt. I think my opinion, and I can tell you I had a completely different opinion before talking to Diggin' Gypsy. You will see some of these emails. He was rooting for her. I think he was rooting for her family. I think the scrapbook. I think there were and I think there was emails like this that he was nudging. If he nudged Diggin' Gypsy, he might have nudged this flatlander from medical school that was dropping out. He wanted this done. In my opinion, Conspiracy Theory Bridge is back up and it's solid, and you won't believe the avenues.
We love the Conspiracy Bridge.
So here's a question: Did Dale get the preface to Too Far to Walk also early before anybody else? Does anybody know if that's true or not? Diggin' Gypsy got
Dale,
it.
but Dale sure did have the fishing logs.
Oh, okay. I thought somebody knew if he did or not. Okay, we don't know that then.
But we didn't need the fishing logs. Remember, these locations are named elsewhere.
No, but confirmer, if you know that this is where Forrest spent time racing his grandpa and sitting with his father, and that's where they spent the last year and a half of their entire fishing time together, you would say, man, that's even more special now because of family.
Here's a good point, K-Pro. So he nudged Diggin' Gypsy all the way to Hegman, too. Forrest said a lot of things to a lot of people at different times. I don't think we can just pick one thing and say, look. And then Diggin' Gypsy says, then he asked Marty, where's your home? I'm assuming she means Homer Brown. He asked me 3 times, LOL. I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. Other than he did share things with searchers. We know that.
Okay,
is
so
it a hint to the treasure chest location? I don't know.
Let me ask you, and I'll wrap up my conspiracy theory because that's not what tonight is about. That's where I'm going now that I have closure. But if Forrest was having an incredibly stressful time with his family going, Paco just skipped parole and he is trying to kidnap and we are going to call the police. We're calling the police. Jack happened to message him and say, hey, I'm boots on the ground in April of 2019. And he says, hightail it down here. I'm going to give somebody some information, but I'm not doing it over email. He goes down there and gives him a little nudge that says, don't leave that area, grid search it, make it done. Here it is. That's as much as he gave to Diggin' Gypsy. Is it possible that he did that based on the stress that was happening, that we already knew was happening? Now we have an email that confirms the area. We can say, oh, no, it didn't mean anything. Yes, it did, in my opinion.
So I agree with Mike. We need Diggin' Gypsy on the show.
I have a question for Diggin' Gypsy.
She was invited. I would love it.
You have an open invitation, Diggin' Gypsy. You can come on the show right now if you want the link. I'll send it to you.
I don't have all the... Okay, so wait. Just to be fair, I know some people are asking for the emails. I did not make a PowerPoint for those. We will stumble and make a 4, 5, 6 hour show out of it. I'll have to come on. I would love... I would say not tonight. Some of us work tomorrow. I will say not tonight. I would love... I invited Diggin' Gypsy on. She has an open invitation anytime. The emails that you sent, and you kept sending them, and it went bink, and I went, bink, and I went.
I think she just said she wants to come on.
She does.
Well, if Diggin' Gypsy wants to come on now, she can email me. Otherwise, hopefully we can set it up in a future.
Cowlazars@gmail.com.
Yeah, I just put it in the chat.
You know you want to, Diggin'. You know you want.
So I have a question for Diggin' Gypsy before she comes on, if she wants to come on.
Okay.
So the question is this. She said that she believes that the nudge was to move her away from the 9 Mile Hole area. Okay. So my question to her is, does she think that the specific spot, the spot where the treasure chest was hidden, had something to do with the tree where he wrote a letter for his wife? Because my spot that Jens and I found, yes, you can cross a river, but you also don't have to. And it's closer to the 9 Mile Bridge area. So that's my question, because I think we're in the general area. I think that the 500, 200 foot area, Jens had basically mapped off 500 feet exactly. We got to that ping location, and then we went into the woods. And I think it's important. The bigger picture, I think that Forrest said that everybody's stomping on the ants as the elephants are running by. And I'm not going to misquote Shannon. I promised I wouldn't do that. But she said, when we were in person at the bar, she says, Forrest wrote The Thrill of the Chase, and he sprinkled the clues. But then in Too Far to Walk, he got some of the clues right. Maybe in this book right here, he put some better hints and clues in this particular book. And I sent you some things, Christy, that to your email before about this, about everybody started saying the smoking gun. Well, there's a smoking gun in Too Far to Walk with a money tree. There's a $100 bill. There's a $100 bill, and I'm not saying that the spot had a $100 bill that was nailed to it, because that wouldn't last 900 years. But there's something affixed to a downed or a broken tree in Mountain Men, and in Mountain Men he talks about swishing skirts and tiptoeing out of the woods and going back to his car, where he went back to a motel where he had air conditioning, or where he had warm water and a shower. Well, we knew that he stayed at Parade Rest Guest Branch. And another thing about Parade Rest Guest Branch is he said the last time that the lady in the office said the last time that Forrest stayed there was one of his family members called up and said, which cabin did he stay in? And he may have given a fictitious name, but where she slipped is that she said, he didn't stay in a cabin. Well, in Tony DeCoppel's thing, he towed a Airstream trailer 1,600 miles one way so his father can fish the Madison River one more time. And didn't he fish on the Grayling Creek? He may have asked them, can I park my Airstream trailer along the Grayling Creek one last time? So there are other things here at play, and I feel that we're close. But my question to Diggin' Gypsy is, do you think that we're looking for a tree that he wrote a letter for his wife where he was able, like Adam said, that you can see the Madison River? You can see cars, unfortunately, but back then you might not have seen many cars. It's a special area to him.
We have the family/estate confirming 9 Mile Hole.
And Diggin' Gypsy, you do not have to be on video. She said, can she come on but not have video on? No, you don't have to have your video on. Just come in and talk if you want to.
Eleanor,
we're going to find out. If there's an issue, let her try it and see if she can come on.
I would hate.
Capo, Diggin' Gypsy said show the other emails as well.
Yeah, that's so for people like me that are not tech. Do you know how long it takes me to build that PowerPoint and cut and paste and this and that?
Oh yeah,
that was one of them. To do this on the fly.
Just forward me the email. I'll show it.
I have like 30 of them. Like, which one did she
show them all? Show them all. Everybody go get a drink. We're going to be here a while.
Just lay it out there on the table.
Okay, wait. Diggin' Gypsy. Hold on.
Hashtag email dump.
That's what we're here for.
You guys are
hashtag spread the info. Hashtag
I am
whatever.
trying to without doing 5-hour shows every night and going off the deep end like some of the people.
Listen, sometimes life throws you a 5-hour show and you just have to roll with it. All right?
Okay.
No, I got it.
I would hate if a smoking gun was in anything but The Thrill of the Chase. Like that's not what I signed up for either. I signed up for the poem and a map and maybe the book too. Fine.
I agree, Ben. I agree, mate.
Okay, wait.
It's just doesn't. It's just like, I had to keep buying books. That just seems. That seems like a sales con job.
I want to tell you.
I would choose this one shared. Hold on.
I want to tell you the poem. I would love it to be sold with just the poem. Never mind.
I think that's what we need.
Yeah.
To debate a spot is fun, even if the spot's right. But it would be so much better if there was a solve that came with it. I really think we're shortchanging our own brains without a solve. But maybe that's not possible
right now.
I mean, are we? We're talking about Forrest proposing to Peggy. I'm down with it. I love the theme of it. That's what I needed in a solve. But again, we're arguing over Homer Brown. We're arguing over Where More Waters Halt. It doesn't seem precise even in the solution to
Okay.
the clues. Doesn't seem precise.
There's a question from Chad I want to throw out. Backyard Barbecue said, "Did Forrest ever tell you any info that seemed like inside information?" Maybe, and they were all secretly recorded and sent to everyone in the community. And when I got that you're walking short distances, you're walking too far, the 1 mile, I put that up on Chase Chat. And then all of you jerks secretly recorded me and Forrest and put it up. So anything I got, like dip your toe in it, it was already out. I didn't mind it, but
Digging Gypsy, can you hear us?
Yeah.
And we can hear you. So, Digging Gypsy, everybody. Thanks
Hello.
for coming on to answer these hundreds of questions you're going to get. But let's just let you, I guess, say what you want to say to start.
Right. It sounds like it's cutting out. Let me know if I'm cutting out.
Yeah, we can hear you okay.
Okay. All right. So this is how I got the email for the Too Far to Walk book. Okay. This is when I was at 9 Mile Hole. And Forrest was emailing me like left and right. Like I was getting an email every 5 minutes. You know, what do you see? Where are you at? Do you see my huckleberry bushes? You know, and then I found the artifacts. He wanted to see all of those. And then I found a piece of a wagon, and he wanted to see the piece of the wagon. And then he wanted me to bring the piece of the wagon to New Mexico because he said it was Custer's wagon. Like, and it came off Custer's wagon. So I take this piece from the park and bring it all the way to Mexico. So he's really tickled about me digging through trash piles and finding trash. Like he was just getting a really big kick out of me. So so that's why I think he sent me the Too Far to Walk book, because he wanted me to keep looking. Because we had searched there for days at 9 Mile Hole. Like, I really don't know how it was there because we searched that place for years. But that first time we searched for days. So he was getting bored with the area with me. You know, like, okay, let's let this girl move on to another spot. Okay? So he sends us the book, Too Far to Walk, and we read it that night. And the next day, we go to Baker's Hole because the book, to me, led us to Baker's Hole. You know, to where Dal stood on the Madison with the shadow picture. So we go down.
Do you know the backstory of the shadow picture? Where was that? That was Dale? Did Forrest put him there? What's the backstory there?
Yeah, Forrest put Dal there to go stand there in that exact spot for the shadow picture.
And where is that exactly?
It's when you pull into West Yellowstone, when you go through the gates. It's a little forestry service road on the left-hand side.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really easy. Anybody can go there. It's not closed or anything. You can go down there and go fishing. But what you do is you start there. That's where he put in his dinghy, and he floated down. So then, you know, you're counting the miles to where he floated down to Baker's Hole. Okay. So when you get to Baker's Hole, after hiking that spot through the woods, through the grizzly area, through where the grizzlies are chewing on elks, okay, it's a very dangerous spot and nobody should do it. But so you walk all the way to Baker's Hole. Anyway, that's what we did. And then you get to Baker's Hole and you get out and there's a sign, because he kept saying, go walk up to the river, Marty, go walk up to the river and take it all in. So when you get there, you're reading the sign, and when you read the sign, it says the home of Brown is at Hebgen, is the Brown Trout's home, is at Hebgen Lake. So from Baker's Hole, you get in your car and you drive to Hebgen. Now, at this point, Forrest sends, well, no, K-Pro, you didn't show that other email, so now
I just sent it to my, wait, which one?
The one where I was going to leave 9 Mile Hole and go home.
Yes. I just sent that to you, Mike.
I can read it. Everybody just take my word. This is what it says.
Yeah, and we'll
this
post it too. But this, I do have to say, I would have done what Digging Gypsy did. My God. Okay, go ahead, Mike. Read it.
So this is from Forrest to Digging Gypsy, December 9th, 2013. I believe. It says, Marty, I hope you are not leaving before you search those mountains. It's not like you to quit. F.
No, not that one.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh,
What mountains are we talking about there?
Okay, hold on.
I made that up, everybody.
Ben's making me laugh.
Wait, you made that up? You
Yeah,
made that up?
Maybe.
No,
maybe.
that's
that's so
one
good.
too.
Yeah.
Well done.
Oh, okay.
When
Is it
I
this
got
one?
the email about Hebgen,
Yes. Forrest replied to you, "O ye of little faith, no wonder you can't find the treasure. Are you going to skip Hebden Lake?" F.
right? Now this was
Yeah.
after I searched 9 Mile Hole. He wanted me to keep searching,
Mm-hmm.
Well, hold
and
on.
that's when
Can I
got the
interrupt?
book. Yeah.
Because I read that email completely differently than your initial reaction right now. He's saying, "Oh, it's not you're quitting the right area, so I'm going to ask you about a wrong area. How about Hebgen Lake?"
No, wait. He sent I'm at 9 Mile Hole, and I said I'm getting ready to go home. So then he sends us the book, and that's when we go to Baker's Hole. And then here was another one. He said, when I'm at Baker's Hole, he goes, "Where is your home?" I was like, such and such, Georgia. And he goes, "No," I said, "in my truck." That's what I said because I was traveling a lot. I first said, "Oh, I live in my truck these days a lot." And he goes, "No, Marty, where is your home?" And then he said it like 3 times, like trying to make me think of a home. Like, what is a home? So then that's when I went to Baker's Hole and I found the home of Brown on the sign. And then we go to Hebgen because of that email. And then from there, all the clues fall into place. And I stayed there the rest of the time, but I always went back to 9 Mile Hole and then back to Hebgen, back and forth. But, with Forrest, to me, his favorite spot was always below Hebgen. Always. 9 Mile Hole is a cool spot for the Indians. It was, a cool spot when he was a kid fishing with his dad. But I think his real love was outside of the park, 20 miles away from people. And anybody that's been below Hebgen and you see the moose and you see the osprey and you see the eagles and you see the F on the tree that I saw and all the other things that I saw, it was there. It was not at 9 Mile Hole.
Isn't Hebgen in Montana though?
It is. I think
okay.
this is a ploy to get people, throwing people a curveball. But I don't know. It could have been there. But to me, all the things that Forrest said about it's not a dangerous spot. Kids could get there. I mean, I've been there so many times. I don't see bringing a kid across that water into those pine trees.
I agree. Dig in. Did you search the area that Capro's they're clearing? Did you search that area? Do you recognize it?
No, because it was too far to walk. Forrest kept telling me, "Don't go where an 80-year-old couldn't go." We all knew Forrest. We know he hobbled, he wobbled, he held on to people. He tripped. He wasn't very stable at walking at 80 years old. So he wasn't Superman. And I had to you have to think logical. If it wasn't 9 Mile Hole, I think like K-Pro said, it wasn't far. It had to be right there at the river somewhere. And he loved looking at the water. Oh, and then after we go to his house, after our first search, he gets in our truck and is searching in it. Like he's like looking through our truck, like to see what we have in there. It was the craziest thing. So he may have thought we found it. I don't know. At 9 Mile Hole. I mean, that might be a good hint that we were at the right spot.
So just to be clear, because we talked about this, you always searched the Madison and Hebden, but you always revisited 9 Mile because of all the artifacts.
Every time, because of the artifacts.
Yeah, but it was really, if you were to say where you thought it might have been found, because we have the search partner's car at Baker's Hole. I mean, they were at Baker's Hole in April of 2019. So where would you put the location if you were to say, just from a shot in the dark, where do you think it was found?
I mean, a shot in the dark, my only 2 things is Ghost Village and 9 Mile Hole.
Right.
Because Ghost Village goes with War for Me. And that, to me, Forrest always said, You know, that was his favorite story in the book was War for Me. Read War for Me. You know, just like read the preface, it was always read War for Me.
Diggin, no one can answer this better than you. Do you think Forrest was giving you private hints?
Well, no, at the time, I mean, there was only a handful of us in the trip, you know, in the hunt, like in the chase. You know, I mean, I only knew maybe 100 people back then that was in it. And we were, you know, and we were all very tight because we were on dowels, you know, but I mean, I think there were subtle hints, yes, in the beginning, but then I think when more and more people got into it, he quit doing that. You know what I'm saying? Just like writing those stories on me, those weren't private hints, those were to everybody.
The scrapbook.
You know, and a lot of new people never read them. Like K-Pro never even read that, you know, read that scrapbook. You know, and those were huge back then because he was kind of leading, you know, kind of like telling everybody. It's kind of weird.
And I was of the notion if I continue to take so much in, it's going to continue. I need to go back to the poem in the book, and that's where I was just kind of going back and forth on for a while.
So
Right.
I think the real question is when Forrest says, "I've never told anybody anything that would get them closer to the chest," do we believe him or not? Now
No.
today, after all that's transpired, I'd like to go through each one of the panel. I'm not so sure. I always believed it up until the last couple of weeks. Now I'm not so sure. What
Because
do you
he
think?
told Dal, I mean, like I heard that he told Dal that Dal was 300 feet away from it. So, you know, if he told Dal that in a certain year, Dal probably knew exactly where he had been. You know, so those are hints. That would have been a huge hint to me if he told me back then. I mean, even though he said, you know, he would bet on me, I would have liked to known if I was 200 feet or 300 feet.
Yeah, whether someone can interpret them, I think, is differently than did Forrest give them. To me, there's no question Forrest gave them. This is just more confirmation of that. What do you think, Adam?
What was the question?
Do you think Forrest gave private hints?
I think at this point it's pretty obvious that he did. I don't think. How can you deny it now? We know he gave Dale hints, and he's sending Digging Gypsy the preface that may or may not contain a hint weeks before anybody else sees it. So yeah,
Rudy, I think your mic is. If you're typing, is that you, Rudy?
Let me see. Hang on.
Rudy's muted. Oh yeah, there you go.
I muted Digging Gypsy. I'm sure. I think.
Okay. Yeah, I think at this point there's every.
Unmute Digging Gypsy. Yes.
All the evidence points to that he probably was. Yeah.
Well, I would say at least he gave people things that they took as hints. So he kind of manipulated people in that way. If Forrest sent something to you that you thought was a hint, whether it was a real hint or not, you thought it was a hint. You know what I mean? So,
what I want to know is, did he give Jack one? The Finder.
Just wait. I think, did we hear that Jack went in April of 2019 to Santa Fe? Because Jack went over that, right? In all of his press releases. He talked about when he went down to Santa Fe, right? I think there's a lot more that's going to come out and all hell's going to break loose soon. That's just my general opinion. And it's not going to be the rabbit holes that people try to force me down and say, you have to do this or you're involved. I don't own the treasure chest. I'm sorry that Mike and I don't. And I wish I owned the Wyoming LLC that may own it or whatever. I don't own it, but I think there's a story here. And I think the people that are starting to really come after me or Mike, I think they have an agenda because I'm not stopping. And I think there's more now than ever. But let's focus on Digging Gypsy tonight.
So
I
Digging
wish you
Gypsy
had found the treasure chest, though.
and ended it in 2013. Yeah.
Well, no, if you guys had it, you could show it on the show right now. That'd be great.
I'm starting to think we're all wrong now. I'm starting to think we're all freaking wrong. Because in 2013, the same argument I'm giving for why 2013 is important because no, it's not big and famous. And I give the same argument for 2013 saying he doesn't want this thing found in 2013. That's gross. That's icky. 3 years into it. Ugh.
No,
So Digging Gypsy.
I've got to chime in here. He's right. because this is what Forrest would do to me and my sister. When we were out searching, I think if he didn't like us in a spot and we were getting too hot, he said, come to my ruins and you guys can camp there and I'll send you gas money for you to camp in New Mexico. And I'm like, we don't want to go to New Mexico, and we camp all the time. We're from North Georgia, and no, we're looking for a treasure. But he was trying everything he could to get us to come, to New Mexico, and to get away. Like we were moving.
Okay, wait, soak that in, guys. Forrest offered you partial compensation to come out and search, correct? There's some more stories here that we'll talk about later, but Vegan Gypsy, right?
Yeah, I forget all you guys haven't been in the chase forever.
Right, and you haven't heard this story.
Well,
yeah,
well,
in the
Vegan
beginning.
Wait, let her answer. Was there times or was there situations that you were compensated by Forrest to search?
Yes. He sold my sister's artwork on an auction site, and he wanted us to have money to keep on searching, because I would have like yard sales, like to get the money up to go searching. I mean, that's what we did. That was our.
No.
We liked we like coming up with.
Oh, and she's gone. I was going to ask her, what if Forrest actually led her away from the actual treasure spot because he didn't want her and her sister to find it? Have you guys thought of that?
Which I think is a real possibility, Mike. Back in 2013, I don't think he wanted it to end.
Right, exactly. He didn't want somebody to find it in 2013. He wanted his legacy and all that. So would he actually tell somebody to lead him away?
I think he was enjoying being the keymaster back then. I think he was having a great time.
Right.
2019, different kettle of fish. It had gone crazy by then. But back then, no, he didn't want it to end. He was loving it.
Well, so hold on a second. So somebody, Lucky Digger, said, but wait, Forrest and Marty were friends. Sure, but when you're in a treasure hunt and you are a treasure hunt creator and you are paying for some people to actually search for the treasure, and you may be giving them information and books before other people, I'm not judging. I'm stating facts at this point.
J.K. Pioneer says that's what I've been saying. So did Forrest write the preface of Too Far to Walk to lead Vegan Gypsy and her sister away from the treasure chest? I don't know.
I think you might be right.
There's a lot of things in question right now at this point. I
prefer the hint to lead them away than the hint to lead them to the chest back in 2013.
I don't know.
Oh, don't say that. Tony Rusi said exactly why Forrest pushed April away from Don't say that. Don't say it. It's kind of
because he obviously did not want a female searcher to find the treasure chest. I don't know. That's
but your turd source says there's a female involved. Turd.
We all need to remember this is a treasure hunt, and there are no rules. None whatsoever.
No, wrong. In my opinion, wrong. My opinion is you don't start a treasure hunt and give specific people, and hey, I benefited from some of them. I'm saying I don't think it's okay. I like the Randy hunt. Randy stays away from all of us crazy people except for generally talking with us. I did not sign up for a hunt where Forrest is nudging certain people when I have had the amount of money and the amount of time I put in. I'm not going to sue or anything, but do I think it's a bunch of malarkey and a big load of turd? Yes.
That's why I'm saying maybe we're all wrong. Maybe there's a twist coming here, and we're all nuts right now, and we're all going to laugh in a couple years at how adamant we are about this, because everything in my gut tells me, no matter what I think of him, good or bad, because I've said both good or bad about this dude, everything in my gut tells me there's no way he just gives this thing away.
Wait. Just because we're talking about secret
I think
hints,
this is a big twist.
Let's talk about secret hints. Hey, Mike, look at your email right now. Here is a clip of an interview that was done in 2019 where Forrest discusses exactly what the last clue was. Some of you are going to say, oh, that's obvious. There was a lot of people, 9 sentences, 9 clues. Forrest flat out gave someone exactly the clue And Mike, let's just roll it. Is this fair that this has been held from the community?
I can say who this is from, right? There's no secret here, right? Yeah. All right, this is from Jens, everybody. This is something when he interviewed Forrest. Check it out. All right. Why? We're not going to keep secrets at this point. Come on.
Hell
First
no.
time. Oh, all right. There we go. Here we go. You know it's from Jens from the drone shots. There it is.
Turn it up a little.
Mike, keep an eye on the
First
room for
clue
coming
is
back in.
one water source, but you never said what the last clue was.
No,
Hang on.
well, it
Willie.
doesn't take a genius to figure out the last clue. Look quickly down. Your quest to cease. I mean, I would think people would think that would be the last clue. You found the treasure. I mean, what? There are no more clues after that.
Forrest is like, oh.
He looks really.
Let's play it again. Hang on, everybody. Let's play it
Let's
again.
break the internet. Come on, let's
Hang
do this.
Here we go. Listen to Jens's question. Listen. Let me turn it up.
You said the first clue is warm water source, but you never said what the last clue is.
No, well, it doesn't take a genius to figure out the last clue. Look quickly down. Your quest to cease. I mean, I would think people would think that would be the last clue. You found the treasure. I mean, what? There are no more clues after that.
Boom, baby.
So that means the last two stanzas, no clues, right?
Yeah.
Did everybody take it that way?
That's right.
Sorry,
Game
Dick and
over
Gypsy.
on those
Wait,
last
wait.
Wow. Thank you, Jens. Thank you for sharing it. I think you said you would a while ago. Thank you for sending it. We appreciate
Hey, bro, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? What's
it.
wrong?
Sorry.
Just wait to see when we talk about Conspiracy Bridge. Wait. Just wait.
But to Forrest, that's obvious. You know when he said duh.
Just
Forrest-
shut. No,
It's kind of obvious.
that was in Forrest's words. That was there 2 years before the treasure chest was found. Was that the slip up? Was Jens cameraman Jack? Was Jack on the documentary? Was Jack's search partner a part of a documentary team? Oh, we'll go down this bridge, baby.
But a lot of people.
Knowing the last clue isn't going to help you find Jack.
No, baloney.
It's not. But that would have thrown out the window the 9 sentences, 9 clues. And those people, I think, would have appreciated to see that. Because this was before the treasure was found, everybody. I don't know when exactly. Jens, if you want to email me, or Jens, if you want to come on the show, since why not? Let us know when you recorded that. It would be, a lot of people would like to know when that was
Forrest
recorded.
looked really old in that video. I've never seen him look so old. Like really frail.
No, he was
It said
Jens
2018
got
in
the
video.
last interview before the last interview in Forrest's home, and we got the last interview, period.
Yeah, so 2018. I mean, a good, 2 years before the treasure was found. Forrest, it was just, I don't think Forrest thought that was a big thing. Forrest is like, well, duh, it doesn't take a genius to figure it out. If you look quickly down, you have the treasure chest. Now, does that mean the blaze is the last clue? Or look quickly down is the last clue, and the blaze is clue number 8? I don't know.
That's clue number 8.
Ben just laughed at the whole thing.
Now, Dig and Gypsy, have you seen? I mean, it's probably obvious to you that the blaze and look quickly down, that was it, right?
Minotaur should have made it. That would have been huge to know that was the last clue. Yeah, I agree, Minotaur. We're going to have so much to talk about at World Series of Fenn.
Someone's typing. Is it Rudy? I can hear it typing on it.
No, it's Dig and Gypsy. There's a lot of clicking and clacking. I don't know if it's your microphone, but there's a lot of background noise. Like, I'm not sure what that is. Oh, it just stopped.
And I don't care. I want Dig and Gypsy here. Dig and Gypsy. So when you found out that it was in Wyoming, I've seen the email. So,
wait, what?
It's got like aliens from Signs.
I would. You are
Oh my
so
God.
genuine. I want you to share that because I did feel like you were being led away after I figured
Oh,
all
well,
this
you
out.
can share it. I don't care if you share it.
Okay, Mike, did I send you that one? I did hear you
No,
curse.
it's not Rudy.
You did not curse. You were.
Wait,
you were-
no.
I don't judge.
The only one you sent me is the one I read, and I guess I wasn't supposed to.
Tonight has gone very different. Oh, there's so much to share later.
That's what happens when there's a live show. You never know what's going to come up.
Oh, but that was a good one that Mike shared too earlier about when I was searching the Gallatin Mountains, and he told me he didn't want me to leave that area either.
Okay, copy. Copy. And I want you guys to know I've not been holding this. Diggin' Gypsy and I, for the first time, we just got on the phone together. What, like last week for the first time. So don't think I'm not like Greg that holds stuff for 6 months or whatever. No. We're laying it out, baby. Laying it out.
So I'm supposed to read this email, Kimber?
I hope it's the right one. I have a lot, and there's a lot, but I hope that's
okay. Well, wait. This is from Diggin' Gypsy to Forrest. That's all I got. Is that right? That's what you sent me.
I changed my name.
Hold on. Let me
read
it. Let me read it.
All right, you read it.
Forrest, we was heading home after checking 9 Mile Hole. Then you sent us and then you sent that to us. Why would I want to see Hebden when it wasn't the site? Seeing I was treasure hunting, and why should I be searching Gallatin Forest if you knew it was in Wyoming? And why do you think I would get an honest answer from you? LOL, and then the emoji with the laughing. I'm just mad the minute I started deleting pictures. You did trick me between you, and you know what you did. Have a good night. I need to put the chickens up. And I have the email. We'll show that later.
I just unmuted you, Diggin' Gypsy. So you were a little upset at Forrest. Is that right?
No,
when you found out it was in Wyoming?
Poor K-Pro. I don't write right. Forrest always said,
no, it was
right.
perfect.
Like, to you. Well,
you told him he was a dumb son of a... I would have said it different. You were nice.
What I said was, I'm not just out sightseeing, Forrest. I'm not sightseeing. I don't want to go see Hebgen Lake if the treasure's at 9 Mile Hole.
Right.
And then it did. If he's saying, hey, are you going to skip Hebgen? Well, yeah, you're going to go run and see Hebgen Lake.
Yeah, so I don't think this has been articulated really well. So just because we have a lot going on here. So Diggin' Gypsy and her team had been at 9 Mile Hole, and she was leaving. She was going back to North Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, I don't know, to the south. And he said, wait, you're leaving before you search Hebden? And she went and stayed a few extra days. I would have too if he would have said that to me.
Yeah,
so
because then he book.
Can you imagine if Jens was out there?
And here's my secret book that I haven't put out to anyone else. Only share this with you and your family.
But it didn't even stop there, K-Pro. When we got to Hebgen, he went on and on and on and on about more stuff to go see. It was like, did you see Duck Creek, Cougar Creek, this creek, that creek, Beaver Creek? Oh, what the hell? We went up every creek there ever was.
So it really wasn't a hint. You don't think it was a hint from Forrest?
Well, what happened later was because when we're at Hebgen, we found an F on a tree that was a very nice F. And at that point, we never knew that he had Fs on his trees at his house. And then we come to find out he did have Fs on his aspen at his house. So we thought we found the F tree. And then he wrote those stories about me, and then it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. So then we never left below the dam because of what he said about that, the blazes winking and grinning.
So how shocked were you?
Take that.
Winking and grinning.
See,
so Diggin' Gypsy, how shocked were you when it came out it was in Wyoming?
At first, I forgot 9 Mile Holes in Wyoming. I thought that was in Montana all this time. Yeah, and then I was like, oh, okay, so it's in Wyoming, but it was a place that I went to every single time that I was there because of the artifacts. Like I said, we love finding the the artifacts there and just showing Forrest what we found. But then he started getting mad that I was picking them up, and then he was like, just leave them there. But in the beginning, he wanted them all. And that's when I thought he was placing them there. Because in one email, he goes, I'll give you some arrowheads to throw around out there.
Oh.
Did I show you that one, K-Pro?
No.
So I'm like, okay, these are Forrest. They're his, is what I was thinking.
Has anyone ever carved something into a tree before? Like back when you were a child?
Heck yeah, I do it all the time.
Have you ever gone back to a carving from childhood to see if it was still there?
Yes. Yeah,
Is it still there?
Yeah, the tree got bigger. It grew up in the tree.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's still there. It's at my family.
I wonder if quickly down has something to do with the timing of a carving.
That's a good idea.
I think my discussion with Diggin' Gypsy solidified, and you've seen a few of the emails. We're going to share all of them. Don't worry, guys. It let me know there was muddy waters. Forrest did not intend all of this way. And I think you add in Paco, you add in Jack, you add in a few other things. There's a look. Okay, Diggin' Gypsy, do you believe that Jack found it just as Jack said? He was up there. There was no nudge. He just dumb found it. What do you think?
A couple things about Jack that threw me off when I first read a story is when he said he was thirsty. All right, if you're thirsty and you find it at 9 Mile Hole, there's a whole river right in front of you, buddy, and a creek. You've got plenty
But
of
as
water.
a flatlander, you might not drink it because you're worried about Giardia. I wouldn't.
It's got
pee in it. I wouldn't drink
what? K-Pro, if you was a hiker, there's no person out there that would cross that creek. If you're just a flatlander, then you would be more scared. You wouldn't even cross the river.
Okay,
you know
that's fair.
Ashley's a flatlander. I got her to cross that thing. I'm just saying.
All right.
Well,
she's what the flatlanders will do for gold.
She's an angel from the gods. She's an angel.
I mean, to be fair, I would cross it, but I wouldn't drink the water.
I would drink the water.
You don't know what's happened to it.
I wouldn't
I have
drink
an
it. Hell
idea.
no. Shit.
I have an idea.
I'm not stranded. I'm not drinking any water that isn't in a bottle.
I think there's a bigger story. I think Forrest was a very smart man, and he was a deep thinker. And remember that saying that he had, like, we're all like, what is that? He talked about Shakespeare at a play, and we're all players. You know,
we're all actors.
We all have our entrances and our exits.
Right. And he kept telling me before he died to be patient. Be patient. Be patient. And
did he ever say nothing is as
being
it seems?
And you know, like what I said, he said, you're part of the big, what was that one I said, K-Pro, like, you know, I want you in it. You're part of the big picture, something like
You're
that.
part of the big picture. He said you were part of the big picture. Oh, I'm sharing that.
I never understood.
This sounds like salesman lines. I'm not trying to disparage it. It just sounds like, oh, just wait. So many people here.
Well,
just wait.
I think after all these lawsuits are over, I think his lawyer probably holds on to something that Forrest left for everybody. And I think that he had somebody doing a movie or a documentary, because nobody can tell me who he had that documentary with in 2019.
No one knows about that. I have been investigating that for the last 48 hours. No one knows about that.
No, and nobody knows. And that Forrest said there's money behind it.
Wait, nobody knows about what, K-Pro?
There was a major movie deal supposedly that he had emailed Diggin' Gypsy about. And that communication happened. I checked with some of the people that would have been included in that. None of them can confirm except for one that was a little bit later. I need to circle with Ben. I haven't been able to talk with Ben. I need some other. It was not Jens. This is money behind it. That Jens is, you know what? Jens is doing it all out of his own pocket. No, this was like big dollar.
Douglas Preston. He talks about the movie rights in our interview, right?
Just you wait. That's what I mean.
He did.
Let's get this 9 Mile. Okay, it's either 9 Mile or the Madison, and we're going back to Conspiracy Bridge. There was some big things happening, and Ben, we need to talk. We haven't talked in so long. We need to talk.
Well,
Okay, so here's the question I have for you guys. Diggin' Gypsy is not somebody that is 5 times a week for 5 hours a day on YouTube. Adam, do you have one question that you would like to ask Diggin' Gypsy? I can tell you I was delighted with her honesty. She was forthright, and then she said, here's the email, and I have tons to share.
I don't know why people hide their email. Everybody should share. It's over.
Yes.
That's right.
Diggin', amen, Diggin'. Thank you
I'll
for
share
coming on.
mine.
I mean,
Thank you for coming on and sharing.
Forrest would say that to me too. That's what he would say. He would say, give it all out there, because he already has it all set up the way he wants it to be, and it's over. And I'm guarantee you we're all gonna get an answer when he wants it to come out.
There's way too much secrecy. You're right, it's over. It's been over for a long time, and yet people are still holding on to things. And
that's crazy.
If we put it all on the table,
but Forrest Fenn has created that. Forrest Fenn has created that. He had 2 months to clear this up.
People are still keeping it to themselves when they could put it out there.
But Fenn could have released everything. Fenn could have released the clues. He could have released the soul.
No, except for the lawsuits. Forrest could have never known that some judge was going to give us. It
would prove the lawsuits wrong.
Yeah.
The solution would prove the lawsuits wrong. To tell me,
except it was found in the park with the statute. Not if it. Not
if. Okay. You're saying if he releases the solution within the statute, someone else goes, "Oh, I had that solution the whole time." Okay, got it. Yeah. Fair enough.
Oh, but I'm with Diggin' Gypsy. He has a plan, and that plan is coming. Wait until next Monday's show. Wait until next Monday's
Nothing is as it seems.
Nothing is as it seems. That's what Mike was told through a searcher that was very, very close to Forrest. Nothing is what it seems. Okay, I'm sorry.
I agree,
back to Adam. What were you?
I mean, I asked my question to Diggin' a while back. I said, are you upset that you potentially were searching in the correct area and walked away? But you said that you weren't, to your credit. You said that you weren't that bothered by it.
No, I wasn't. I mean, like I said, how can you miss something you never had? And like I said, I was more intrigued with, like I said, finding the artifacts. And that's if it was there, that's why I missed it, because I'm looking at the obsidian artifacts in the Indian history.
Wonderful.
And
good for you.
I think Forrest liked that about us, because he couldn't understand. There's a box full of treasure out there, and you're showing me rocks.
Well, and I do have to say, I haven't shared this with you, Diggin' Gypsy. I will tell you, I know that the fundraiser for your sister got sidetracked. When Forrest came to me, he said, I have never been so proud of the type of family that this is. And he wanted us to do a big fundraiser because he said, and he talked about your sister, he said, she's too prideful. She's not going to take it unless it's an overarching, not individual. It was so heartwarming to see. We'll talk another day about that. But he liked the type, like the just fine, get out. I mean, when I emailed Diggin' Gypsy, she's like, I'm getting off the tractor. I'll be right there. It was just like, exactly, Forrest. Okay, Buck, do you have a question for Diggin' Gypsy?
Who?
Buck. I know he's a little delayed.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, do you have any questions for Diggin' Gypsy?
Yeah.
She's searched the area for years.
Yeah. If you were to think that it was within the 7 to 9 mile hole, where do you think it is? And if you think it's there, or if you were to think it's there, do you think we're looking for a tree that he wrote a letter for his wife near the Madison River? That's my question on the Mountain Trail.
If you're asking if the blaze is a tree, no, I don't think the blaze was on a tree.
Okay.
And I think if it was between 7 and 9 mile hole, it was near Indian ruins, or near that, any kind of ruins. But he said he wanted to be entombed, like it would have to be like a hidey hole of stacked rocks where he could crawl under, or something like that.
Like a hearth?
Fireplace.
Like a hearth?
Like a what?
Like a hearth. Stacked stones almost look like an oven.
I haven't
Like
shown
a
them
card,
the pictures.
a
They
rock
can-
card.
I haven't shown them the pictures yet.
Yeah, Ben, I saw that out there.
Well, yeah, there's stuff like that all over Yellowstone, and that's
Oh,
like
but your
where-
one picture made my stomach drop. The one picture of
This
that
is
you
unique.
had at 9 Mile, it was. Well, we're going to show that next week. I mean, it's yeah. Okay.
I was told
you just-
Artifacts
when
was
you're
a
out there
spot.
walking,
That
you
would
find
fit the
all
bill.
kinds of stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay, Rudy, if you had a question for Diggin' Gypsy, what would it be? If any.
Well, Marty, you searched at Red Canyon as well, right?
Yeah, I have a lot of emails on that one too.
Well, that's where I spent most of my time. So my question's actually related to that. Would you mind sharing what Homa Brown you used there? Because I was never happy with exactly how mine worked out.
Oh my goodness, I don't even think we really gave it much thought at that time. We were just going everywhere, just looking.
Kind of
like-
visiting the poor
It
spots.
was always usually Homa Brown was always the brown trout. To be honest with you, because of it, he loved fishing. Or it would be a cabin up in there somewhere, or some forestry cabin. But there was so many different kind of homes of brown. You could, you just, I don't know. It was really hard to get home a brown, and all I could think of was brown trout
Cool.
because he
Thank
loved
you.
fishing.
Yeah. It was.
Or it's the Beaver Creek. You get Beaver Creek, or stuff like that. We
Tiki Creek.
fluctuated on our Homa Brown.
Ben, do you have
But
a
he
particular
loved Red
question?
Canyon. He did love Red
I have
Canyon.
a-
I got a lot of emails on that one.
I have a general question that leads to a specific. Has Jack reached out to you in specific ways about the site because of where you've been?
I haven't talked to Jack at all. I think because I called him a crybaby.
At all? No communication with Jack whatsoever.
Have you talked to Jack's search
No.
partner?
I haven't talked to anybody.
That's
guess
all I
was
wanted
on
to
the
know.
tractor. I don't know.
Oh, that's
Fair
funny.
enough.
So I have
Okay,
a question.
Mike?
Yeah, my question is, are you coming out to the World Series of Fenn
What's
in
that?
Vegas? Oh, what's that?
Oh,
What's
Chicken
that?
Gypsy really is off the grid. So we're having an annual searcher
Actually.
meetup here in Las Vegas in February. So if Forrest Fenn pays for your airfare, will you come out to the World Series of Fenn? No, you should come out though. It'd be great to talk to you in person, and you could meet all the
yeah,
searchers.
I would love to meet everybody one day. That
Copper
would be
Dan
cool.
will have you sign a map of 9 Mile Hole.
Yeah, that would be cool. I'd like to meet everybody.
I have a question. Do you believe, I think I already know the answer, but I would want to ask you, do you believe that there is an emerald ring still out there, a jar that we're supposed to be looking for, a second chest, anything that continues this chase on, or do you think it's over?
I don't know. I kind of have mixed feelings on that. I've heard some really good theories on the ring might be out there. It kind of sounded pretty cool. Like I could see Forrest doing that, but I don't know. I don't know about that one. I would like to have.
Do you think you were the
more
200
reasons
footer?
to believe that?
Do you think you were the 200 footer?
I don't know. I don't want to say that. There's been so many great searchers that have searched just as much as me. And, me and Joel Lewinsky always went toe to toe. Me and Gallatin always went toe to toe out there. It's like, I don't know. I don't know. I think maybe at one time in 2013, I think other people have been that close too. But, just didn't write for us, So there could have been more than just me, but he focused on. This is why I think he focused on me and my sister, is because he liked people that tried to make money the hard way instead of going to college. Did you hear that interview where he did? I heard it from somebody the other day. But he really focused on people like me, like trying to sell that truck, and parting it out for money. For some reason, he was really into that kind of stuff with us. So
he told me that he loved hard-working people, and that was when we were discussing Carissa and all of that. What happened. So he just said this is the hardest working family. He just talked about hard work, like work ethic.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Right. And
yeah.
like I said, I think that's why he focused on us. And my sister, to be honest with you, he really, really loved my sister and what she was all about. And I think she was a 200-foot. So I mean, we were like the Digging Gypsies team. You know, it wasn't just me. So there was a few of us, you know, at 9 Mile Hole spot. But yeah, I don't want to just say it's me because I think a lot of people was close.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fun.
I like Bavetta's question. I mean, I assume the answer was yes because Fenn, I guess, said just be patient, be patient. But did he reach out to you after the find? Did he give you any kind of maybe quote unquote nudge after the find, or was it basically, "Hey, just wait"?
You see, the last email that my sister got, he put, this is all he wrote, just out of the blue. Carissa didn't even write him, and he goes, "You and your sister are both romantics." That was the last one she got. And the last one I got was, "Marty, please be patient." Because I asked him, I was like, you know, we're not going to get no answers. I just wanted answers to the poem. And he's like, "Please be patient. Please be patient." He said that like in a couple of emails, like, just hold on.
So he made it sound as if it will come out.
That it will come out, you know. And I believe it. I think something bigger is out there.
Yep.
I like the idea that we're just waiting for the lawsuit.
Picture.
Oh yes.
That's good. That makes me feel a lot better to know that, though. I wish everybody could know that. That makes me feel so much better to know that.
I think Forrest was a good guy. I don't think he's gonna end it like this. This is too much. This is too much craziness. You know, and a lot of good people have gotten hurt. You know, it's been a crazy ride. You guys all came in, you know, I don't know when, but when you come in early in the chase, like we all did in 2013, and before that, like, you know, a lot of people, we've dealt with a lot of drama. And I think Forrest knew that, and I think he's going to leave everybody with something great in the end. You know, and I think that treasure chest is going to be sitting in the Smithsonian or something for everybody to look at, because Forrest did want to be remembered, and he was big on, hey, look at me, and look what I got, and look at this, and look at that, and look at all my shiny rocks. That's what I'm thinking. I just think Jack is a part of it, and so is all his search partners, and it's going to be cool in the end. That's what I'm going to keep telling myself.
But until then, we're going to keep having fun talking about the ending.
Keep trying to find the spot.
Because if you aren't having fun, what's the point, you know? I love it, I do. I love it.
And how could it not be a movie ending? That's what I think so. That's the hardest thing I've had to come to grips with is how wasn't there just some spectacle of an ending, even if like you didn't get the chest for the everyone else who was involved. Again, this whole I worked for 15 years thing just ain't working for me on whatever version we get. There's something else is going on.
I think so too. I think he's been working on a movie all these years and putting something together, and it's going to be fireworks.
Yeah, exactly. Ben,
yeah.
Go on, Diggy.
I just think it's going to be a big finale, and it just hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, Ben, how do you know that we aren't going to get that? You know, I mean, it's crap right now. We all agree that, but how do you know it's something's not coming that could be that fairy tale ending? You know, linked to Jack.
Oh, believe me, I've been hoping for it. I still think we might.
Yeah, I'm hoping for it.
It's coming.
Are we going to get it? I don't know, but I'm hoping. You know.
When I heard,
I mean, what are we waiting for though? What do we wait? The only thing that makes I'm talking over Dick. The only thing that makes sense to me is we're waiting for the lawsuits to be fully finalized and done, because nothing else makes sense. Anniversaries have come and go now, so what are we waiting for?
Waiting for the lawsuits to end.
Yeah.
That's it.
I hope that's it. I hope what are we waiting on? What's the latest on that? Like, when are we gonna get shit here? So, but like, come on, it's September 27th, 2021. How long are we supposed to wait here?
5 years down the line, we'll still be here. It's been
My
5
patience
years.
is running low.
How long we're going to wait?
No, thank you.
There's
5
so much
years?
to
Are you
say, but
kidding
it's going to be it's going to be a different night than tonight. I don't think Jack has the same priorities and focus as Forrest and now the estate. I do think Forrest planned for it. So I think there's more to come.
What do you, Kate, what do you think about the what do you think about the alleged document from Forrest with the solve laid out clue by clue? That's allegedly
Whatever
out
are
there.
you talking about, Adam? This is the first I've heard of it. What do you mean?
Go on.
I've heard rumors.
Oh, what are the rumors?
There's a document written by Forrest Fenn with
Vegan Gypsy, have you heard this?
with the complete solution in it
I
from
didn't
Fenn.
know.
From Fenn's
Have you
mouth.
heard that Forrest has actually written out the exact actual solution for when he passed away?
I never heard
Jack
about it.
used it to actually defend if there was a court case. So Forrest made sure that the finder was protected. I think that's what Adam just said.
Wouldn't that make perfect sense? It would to me.
Makes perfect sense. Have you seen
Hold
that?
on.
Vegan
I'm
Gypsy?
going off camera for a minute.
Oh my God.
Well, hold your horses. I'm not saying for sure there definitely is, but
I'm not either. I don't even know what
I've heard rumors that there is such a document exists. So we may get the solution from Fenn after all.
That would be amazing. Do you think that Forrest might have planned for that? That would be a really interesting rumor that
Okay, but you're cracking me up.
wait for next Monday. Hey, Jack.
Does it all fit on a note card?
On a post-it note.
Yeah.
In a
Does it fit on a
10-mile area?
post-it note?
I've not seen it.
Oh, am I making a rectangle? I mean a note card. Does it fit on the note card? This is chaos.
Do you think that Forrest, do you have any information to know Forrest and Jack and their relationship and any of that part?
Do I know if Forrest and Jack had a relationship? What?
Yeah, like, was it positive? Forrest always said, and I saw the email he sent Stephanie, like, when the solution's out, you guys are going to laugh or whatever. Now, all of a sudden, when Forrest passes, we can't say what the location is. We can't say this. We can't say that. Forrest says to me, get to my house. This weekend, I want to do an interview. And it was one weekend too late.
Bye, Ladybug.
Do you have any insight, thoughts, emails? Whatever.
I've got thousands of emails. It's just the right search word that I got to type in. So you tell me a search word.
After the find, did he give you any hints outside of what we already have, Wyoming, of his relationship with Jack, why the search location was not given, like he might have said previously, any of that?
No, that's when I was mad and he just told me to be patient. Like, if you're going to be patient, because I says, are we not going to hear anything? Are you not going to tell us anything? And he's like, be patient. Well, when my dad or your mama told me to be patient, you're eventually going to get an answer. It wasn't like, no, it's over.
When did he say be patient?
Oh my God.
After it was
I
done.
have 50 emails from him saying be patient.
No, I know. I'm just curious. Specifically to Digging Gypsy, I want to know, did he say be patient in August or did he say be patient in June? Because to me, it makes a difference.
I'll have to go back and look up my emails, but it was right after it was found.
Okay, so it was in June.
And I was, just like.
I stick to my argument. The man had 2.5 months to fix this and didn't. Why?
I think a lot more of that's going to come to light because that's where I think we need to focus, in my opinion. And between the nine clues and between Nudgegate and Jack, I can tell you which way I'm going. But just wait. I'm
No,
not
not back
saying
in
be
5
for
minutes.
more than a week.
Just wait.
So,
Sorry, I found a quote in the chat. Someone quoted Ace Ventura very well. That was good.
so okay.
Hey, bro,
Any
this is
parting
chaos.
thoughts? Yeah, no,
No,
this is
parting
chaos.
thoughts.
Yeah. What are your parting
Parting,
thoughts?
parting.
It's all
We just
done.
learned.
We've been patient and we just need to go away now, right?
We're digesting this right now. We just learned the last 30, someone said this, the last 30 minutes have been like the most revelatory in the friggin' chase. We're parting thoughts. My parting thought is I have no idea what's going on anymore. That's my parting thought.
Rudy, what are your parting thoughts? You are more sane than most.
Well, I'm quiet, but I don't know if that means I'm sane. I guess I know I'm biased a little towards the 9 Mile Hole area, having had eyes on it earlier. So I think I've had a lot more time to adjust to it than people who perhaps heard about this within the last month or paid more attention to it within the last month. For me, I'm mostly satisfied with the answers. There's not huge unanswered questions remaining still, but you know, it is subjective, and I don't think we're ever going to have a smoking gun. I think we lost that when Forrest died. Because remember, his prediction that we would, you know, have the aha moment, this is what like some people are looking for, was him going, I'm going to tell you the solution. You know, that's how it's framed. And then you're going to be like, oh my goodness, like, why didn't I think of that? But that didn't, the end scenario didn't play out that way. And so we didn't get that.
Nothing played out the way he said it was going to play out.
Yeah, and a lot of that is
parts. Yeah,
and a lot of that is prediction. So I can give him a little bit of leeway on him going, this is what I'm envisioning happening in the future versus what actually takes place. But just in terms of recognizing like what we can know, I don't think there's going to be a smoking gun that's going to come out. But I'm mostly satisfied with what's out there now.
So if I present a PowerPoint one day and you go, wow, there was a nudge, there was a smoking gun, there was something more, that will be the biggest day of my life.
Well, yeah, and if there's more evidence for parts of the story, then obviously I would accept those. I'm just neutral on things that are more speculative.
Right, yeah. You're very, very evidence-based, so I like
There's
that.
got to be something
I like
more.
that about Rudy. Good for Rudy.
I agree with Dick. I believe Forrest would not leave it in this. Well, Buck, what do you think? Parting words.
I think there's more information that's going to come out. I think it's out there and it's going to come out. It's just a matter of when.
Adam?
Regarding 9 Mile Hole and the whole solution, I don't think we've shown why the spot is so special to Forrest. Now that maybe isn't fair to ask you to show that, but I always like to think that when I see the solution, it will be obvious to me. And I just don't get it from this spot at all. That's my final thoughts on it.
Okay. Dig and Gypsy, what do you think?
I don't think it was at 9 Mile Hole. I don't see myself dying there. I don't see how Forrest would want to die there, and it's too close to people. It just wasn't surreal. Like over at Ghost Village, looking over at the Madison. In fact, that email you should have showed where Forrest said, "I wish I was."
I will.
He said, "I wish I was there." You know, he was always wishing that he was staring at the Madison River. He didn't.
Yeah.
You know, he wanted to be by a tree, looking out at the Madison, looking at the birds. You know, that's what he loved. He didn't want to be off in the woods all by himself, like sitting there. He wanted to be in the woods, but on the Madison where no people was.
You know what, Diggin, you're spot on there. For me, this spot isn't remote enough. Like, a lot of people have special spots. I've got one. And it's somewhere where I go by myself and I never see anybody else.
Right.
And you're there with your own thoughts, the tranquility around you, and there's no one, not enough. Forrest Fenn said that he loved finding places where no one had ever been before.
Right.
But it gets pretty remote pretty quick. I will say for a Flatlander, it gets
say,
pretty remote pretty quick.
Yeah,
I
but
was
there
gonna
were
say,
there were
but you
fishermen.
walk in
There were
500
fishermen there when
feet.
you were there.
We
No.
saw
There's
bears when
fishermen in
we
the
were there.
river. 500 feet in, there's nothing. It's
Yeah, you
nothing
don't see
there.
the river.
Yeah, but
And
I
it's
just
Yeah, I can see that. It's not perfect. When Forrest said, everyone's going to say, oh, why didn't I think of that? It feels good to be at 9 Mile, or
We're
at
missing
least the
that.
general area, but it doesn't feel perfect when it comes to this solution. Okay, so the last question, and I think it's really important because we know we have lots of drama and lots of conspiracy theorists and people that are spending, I'm going to say, a majority of their life. Do any of you own the Wyoming LLC, and do you have the treasure chest in your house? Yes or no? Yes or
Yes
no?
or no? Or
No.
Dick and Gypsy, you probably don't even know what we're talking about.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
what do you think I'm?
Thank God.
What do you
Thank
think I'm sitting on? All this time.
I will end this with saying we're all trying to find our journey. I'm going to Yellowstone when I feel like it. I don't have to check in with anybody. If I happen to have a drink with Cynthia, you guys don't get to control that happens. I'm going to live my best life just like all of you. And I want everyone to feel that this was a good experience at the end, even though we are going to try to find the solution. But if you're spending your life and crashing and burning, please just reassess where you are. Get outside. It's really nice to get outside and smell the sunshine. Shout out to Matt. Shout out to a lot of you that we're all in different places at the end of this. Dig and Gypsy, you and I talked a little bit about this. Sometimes you just need to get outside. I'm going to go for what my journey is. I'm not apologizing for who I invited and where I went at Yellowstone. Buck,
nor should you.
Shannon, now that she shared it, and Cynthia, we had a great time. And I'm not going to apologize for who I talked to and who people think outside in my life they think I'm allowed to talk to. Sorry, I'm an adult. I'm going to talk to the people I want. And I get to go to Yellowstone without having approval of anyone but this man. And
can I jump on that for a sec?
Yes.
Because the same experience happened to me when I was in Yellowstone just weeks before you. I got to hang out with Jason. And Jason, whether you love him or hate him or indifferent to him, people are different than what you see on YouTube or what you have been told about. And I had a great time with someone like YouTube or with Jason or Tony Rusi. I had seen Tony Rusi in chat many times. I'd never hung out with the guy or even so much as talked to him, but I got to hang out with that guy because there were no plans. I didn't answer to anybody. It seems like sides have been chosen. It's ridiculous. Let's all get along. It's all fun and game. And we're going live after this because I'm sorry, K-Pro, we have way too much shit to discuss from what you people have dropped tonight.
I don't know. This was going to be a 45-minute show with a couple of just homies talking about 9 Mile. Shannon came on. Sorry, some people are not okay with me talking with Shannon. Cynthia didn't because she separates herself from this. If we invited more people in, we might get more rather than the hate. Let's just try to focus. And I broke bread with Jens. My God. Come on, people. If that can happen.
I like Jens a lot.
I mean, anything can happen. And Mike always tells me, as everybody's getting all worked up, he's like, one of the people that are like, everyone must hate K-Pro, posted on our Facebook page today. And he's like, let's just give everybody a chance to heal. Like, I was like, oh, we should, like, what should we do? And he's like, who cares? Like, you know what? It's small things in life. Let's just try to find the answer together. And let's not get upset. If I go to Yellowstone, it doesn't mean I hate you. If I didn't invite you, if I didn't it's okay if I talk with Cynthia. That doesn't mean I hate you. If I didn't put you on a PowerPoint slide, that doesn't mean I hate you. I love you all.
Candy, we love you. Come back.
Oh boy.
Okay, so let's wrap it up now. I will say, a shout out to Indy. She did a well thought out. It wasn't a PowerPoint. It was Adobe Spark or whatever.
She lays it out. Now I understand what you were talking about a little bit better.
Yeah, we understand it more. I know I'm being questioned of owning the chest. I don't own the chest. Gosh, I wish I owned the chest. I don't own the Wyoming LLC, but and those that think that I did it and Mike didn't know, come on, guys. Mike's a little smarter than that. Come on. Let's all take a step back. Let's laugh a little. Let's have some fun a little. But the one thing I will tell you, and the only thing I probably take an offense at, the wedding was real, guys. I'm married. Don't think I did it for a show. That's just silly. That's when I knew.
All right, so on my show, right after this, we're going to discuss the merits of the screenshot of K-Pro's ring to make sure it's real, to see if the wedding was actually real. That's what we'll be discussing tonight on Treasure Warriors.
I don't even care if the ring is real. It is, but I don't care if the ring is real because it's about love, not about diamonds and gems and gold.
No. Wait a minute, K-Pro.
Agreed. Diamonds are bullshit.
K-Pro, let me see that ring. Is that an emerald? Is that an emerald ring? Is that an emerald ring you got on your finger? Is it the ring?
Is that emerald? That's what we're looking for. Hard question.
Where do I go with this?
Is it an
It's not an emerald. It's a diamond. What's wrong with you people?
Fair enough. Fair enough. For now.
Yeah. Oh, you know what,
right.
man? Bring Ashley out for WSOP. We will go ring shopping, my friend. I'll make sure she doesn't. Mike's married. Yes, he is. Don't mess with my man. He's my man.
All right, I'm cutting it off. That's it.
He's cutting it off.
All right, everybody. I'll see you on Treasure Warriors.
Warriors. Sorry, I got a little on-ring at the end. Love to everyone. If you're hating, you're not having fun. Just have some fun, people. Smile.
Well, I'm here.
And I love y'all.
I need 1 minute to pee. Good night, everybody. I'll see you there.
Just click it off. Just click it off.
See you in there, Ben.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning
Bye.
in. See you next Monday.
Thanks, Christy.
Conspiracy theory is coming, baby.
Thanks for coming on. Thank you, Gypsy, and everybody else. Thanks.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun, guys.
Is that Willie? That looks like Willie. There's a conspiracy theory right there.
Uh-oh.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.